I ran my legs off to book a hotel within 300 meters of the exam site for the whole class's college entrance exams. But the school beauty's mother openly questioned me in the group chat 150 for one night. How much of a kickback are you? A kid taking? Her incitement led all the parents to check out. She ended up booking a hotel owned by her cousin instead. At just $80 a night, in an instant, I became a sinner, isolated by everyone. But on the day of the exam, as I strolled into the testing room with a relaxed demeanor, I received a frantic text from my homeroom teacher. Everyone was late except you 01. The June sky was like an upturned steamer. The air was thick and sticky, and even the cicadas' drone carried a note of restlessness. Only 3 days remained until the National College Entrance Exam. I'm Joan, the class monitor of Class 3, a class monitor who served from freshman to senior year, yet whose name few could remember. My grades were average, my personality was unremarkable, and my looks were plain. Toss me into a crowd, and I'd be completely forgotten in 3 seconds flat. But I had one fatal flaw: overzealous sense of responsibility. Teacher Lou, our homeroom teacher, patted me on the shoulder, his face edged with worry. Zhao Ran, I'm counting on you for the exam venue hotel arrangements. The 50 students in our class represent the hopes of 50 families. Getting a good rest before the exam is more important than doing one more practice test. I nodded emphatically. I understand the gravity of this matter. Our No 1 middle school's exam site has been assigned to No 7 middle school in the city center, a location with convenient transportation, but with extremely limited hotel accommodations nearby. I've been running around for a whole week over this. My legs are about to give out from running. My movement was restricted to a circle with a radius of 300 m, centered on the No 7 middle school exam site. Hotels in this range are either fully booked or priced out of reach. I used my mom's phone to make over 200 calls. My ear was burning from the phone receiver. Finally, things took a turn for the better last night. A budget hotel called Waiwan had 30 rooms suddenly become available after a tour group canceled at the last minute. My dad pulled some strings through a connection at his workplace, a distant relative who had shared drinks with the hotel owner. The owner agreed to let us have all the rooms at a group rate of 150 yuan per night. For context, the hotel's standard listed price is normally 288 yuan. At this critical juncture of the college entrance exams, it's prime real estate, a truly scarce resource. After receiving the verbal promise, I practically sprinted home. My heart was pounding in my chest. I finally did something major for the class, a major achievement that would make everyone remember me. I shared the good news, along with the hotel's location, price, and photos all at once in the grade 12 Class 3 parents and students group chat. The group chat instantly exploded. Oh my God, Joanne, you're amazing. Just 300 m from the exam hall. A 5-minute walk away. 150 a night. That price is practically charity. Thanks. Monitor. Our family's signing up. Us too. We're signing up. A string of +1s and thank yous. Like an ice-cold cola on a summer day. Refresh me from head to toe. I am immersed in this unprecedented sense of fulfillment. Even my mom teases me, saying, I laugh like a 200-pound fool. I enter the information one by one to create the booking form. By 2 a.m. all 50 students and 48 families have been confirmed. Only 2 people haven't replied yet. One is a gaming addict who's never online. The other one is Windshine, the campus belle of our class. The princess everyone adored. I didn't pay it much mind. Perhaps her family had it all arranged long ago. I drifted off to sleep contentedly, dreaming of my classmates thanking me after receiving their admission letters. The next day, I was woken by the vibration of a group message. I picked up my phone drowsily. A message from Wenshin appeared prominently at the top of the screen, drawing the attention of countless onlookers. 150 a night. Joanne, you're just a high school student. How much of a kickback are you taking? A buzzing sound. My mind went completely blank. Sunlight streamed through the cracks in the curtains, stinging my eyes. The group chat was deathly silent. That message was like a poison nail driven into everyone's line of sight. After sending that message, Wenshin immediately followed up with a voice note. Her usually sweet and melodious voice now felt like a knife wrapped in honey. Everyone, don't get the wrong idea. I'm not targeting Zhao Ran. I just think that as students, the college entrance exam is a serious matter, and we shouldn't let anything shady get mixed up in it. 150 per night, 48 rooms, 2 days comes to 14. 400, you can do the math yourself to see how much shady business is going on here. I'm just giving a friendly reminder. After all, no one's money grows on trees. She paused, her voice laced with just the right amount of wounded pride and righteous indignation. Perhaps my family is a bit better off. So, I've never seen this kind of maneuver before. Zhao Ran, if your family is struggling, you could have told us. We could have started a collection for you. But making money off your classmates this way, isn't that a bit inappropriate? Every word she said hit me right where it hurt. My family wasn't wealthy. My parents were both ordinary workers. But we lived honestly, never stealing or robbing, holding our heads high, kickbacks, making money. Those two phrases felt like two sharp slaps across my face. It stung like fire. I didn't even have time to type a rebuttal. Wenxin supporters couldn't wait to jump in. Sports committee member who was the first to speak up. Wenxin just speaks her mind. She means well for everyone. Cultural committee member Li Qin chimed in. Yeah, 150 is definitely a bit steep. We students don't really know much about this stuff. Might have actually gotten ripped off. A few girls who were usually close to Wenxin also began to murmur in agreement. My mom also thinks there's something off about the price. Better to be careful. After all, it's about money. The wind shifted completely in the span of a single minute. The parents, who were thanking me profusely just yesterday, had now fallen into a deep silence. That silence was more suffocating than any accusation could ever be. A chill shot up from the soles of my feet, instantly spreading through my entire body. My hands trembling, I began typing. I didn't take any kickbacks. The hotel's original price was $288, but the boss gave us a group discount of $150 just because he's a friend of my dad. I'll share the official hotel booking confirmation screenshot. In a frantic rush, I took a screenshot and sent it to the group chat. The great sold out on the hotel's mini program right next to the listed weekday rate. $288. The red exclamation mark was a jarring sight. Yet, my explanation seemed utterly feeble in the face of Wenxin's meticulously crafted narrative. Wenxin replied immediately. Anyone can take a screenshot. Right. Joanne, we all know you're good with computers. She sent a playful 10-out emoji. Stop pretending. It's pointless. These 5 words, like a final verdict, have nailed me to the pillar of shame. In the group chat, a parent finally broke the silence. She's Wang Hao's mom. When XIN, do you have any better suggestions? My heart sank as I read that line. I knew it was over. That was exactly what Wenxin had been waiting to hear. Her reply was almost instantaneous. Auntie, my cousin's family just opened a new hotel out in the suburbs. It's got a lovely setting, and it's only about 40 minutes by car to the exam venue. He heard we were booking rooms for the class, so he gave us the insider rate. Just $80 a night, and it's a luxurious king-size room. She shared a beautiful promotional image of the hotel. Blue sky, white clouds, and European-style architecture. It looks just like a resort 80150. A chilling and brutal contrast. No one cared what the suburbs or a 40-minute drive really meant. All they saw was that glaring 80, and when Xian's grand, self-sacrificing posture abusing family connections for everyone's good. And then there was me, Ga, a despicable petty individual with an ugly soul, and Face trying to squeeze kickbacks out of his classmates. My phone vibrated again. It was a private message from Wenxin, a selfie she had just posted, with the opulent living room of her home in the background. She flashed a victory sign at the camera. The caption consists of only 2 characters. You 02 when she's just you. Hit me like a bucket of ice water poured over my head. It instantly calmed me down from my anger. I stared at her delicate, provocative face in the chat window. Deleted the long string of accusations I had already typed out. It's pointless to argue with her. She's not looking to fight. She wants me dead. In the group chat, Wang's mother couldn't wait to voice her opinion. 80 a night. That's wonderful. Xin is such a thoughtful child, always looking out for us. I'm with Xin. Our family is booking the hotel through Wenxin's cousin. A single stone stirs up 1,000 waves. We stand with Wenxin. 2. So, it's the suburbs. A 40-minute drive isn't that far. Think of it as a little road trip. Exactly. It's almost half the price. You can save over $100 in just 2 days. And it's run by relatives we know inside out. So you can rest easy. The same parents who once praised my competence were now complimenting Winshin with even more lavish words and fervent enthusiasm. I could almost picture their sycophantic faces through the screen. I had been utterly abandoned by them. No, it's worse. After they had squeezed every last bit of use out of me, I was spat out onto the ground with disgust, like a piece of dried up, chewed sugarcane pulp. I took a deep breath and sent my final message in the group chat. Hello, everyone. The rooms at the Wan Hotel were booked under my father's friend's name as a guarantee. If you wish to cancel, please call the hotel front desk in person or have your parent call on your behalf before 3 p.m. today. Here's the hotel's phone number: 021XXX. Failure to cancel within the specified time will be considered a confirmed check-in, and the deposit will not be refunded. I'm sorry for the inconvenience caused everyone. I offered no further explanation, nor did I say another word. After sending that message, I left the group chat. My phone screen still showed the private chat window between Winshin and me. I looked at her triumphant selfie. She typed 3 words with a blank expression. You just wait. Then I added her to my blacklist. The world seemed to grow a little quieter, but the vibration of my phone soon snapped me back to reality. It was a cancellation call. No, it was parents calling to demand answers from me. The first call came from Li Chin's mother. Her voice was shrill and thin, like fingernails scraping a chalkboard. Joan, is it? What's your problem? Why should we have to call and cancel it ourselves? You're the one who booked it for us, so you're the one who has to get it refunded. Are you just stalling to try and keep more of our money? I listened calmly. Mom, the reservations are under each student's own name and phone number. Hotel policy requires the person who booked to cancel it themselves. So, if we don't stay, why shouldn't we get our deposit back? Auntie, these are the hotel's rules, not mine. I'm just the messenger. I emphasize the word. Auntie, how dare you speak to me like that? You have no manners at all. No wonder you take a kickback. She was ranting furiously on the other end of the line. I didn't listen any further and simply hung up the phone. Then, the second, the third, almost every parent took out their frustration over the cancellation on me. They seemed to have forgotten how they begged me and praised me just a day ago. For the first time, I truly grasped the coldness of human nature. My phone buzzed like a dying hornet's nest. I just switched to airplane mode. The world fell into complete silence. I lay in bed, eyes open, staring at the ceiling. The chandelier on the ceiling had 12 light bulbs. I counted them one by one. When I reached the 12th, the tears finally came. Unbidden resentment, anger, and bitter frustration like a tide. It overwhelmed me. Why should I run myself right for these selfish people? Why should I be overjoyed like a fool just for their praise? Oh, go Ran. You're the biggest fool of all. It was impossible to tell how much time had passed before the door was gently pushed open. My mother walked in carrying a bowl of chilled mung bean soup. She didn't ask anything. Just placed the bowl by my bedside. Ran. Drink the soup. It'll cool you down. She sat on the edge of my bed, gently patting my back. Mom knows you're hurting, but the college entrance exam is everything. Don't let these unworthy people and things ruin your focus. Mom and Dad have discussed it. We'll keep the room in when you on for ourselves. 300M. You couldn't be late, even if you were blindfolded. We're not going to put up with that. I turned my head and lifted it. Mom. Fine lines had begun to gather at the corners of her eyes. A few silver strands now graced his temples for me. She and Dad always gave everything they had. I sat up abruptly, wiped away my tears, picked up the bowl of mung bean soup, and drank it all in one go. Mom, I got it. The cool mung bean soup slid down my throat as if dousing the fire burning in my heart. Yes, the college entrance exam is everything I cannot lose. Not for anyone else, but for myself and for my parents. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I turned off airplane mode. My phone was instantly flooded with countless texts, messages, and missed calls. I didn't look at a single one. I dialed the front desk of the Wan Hotel directly. Hello. I'd like to confirm the booking for the Gallo accommodation. The receptionist's voice is very sweet. All right. Please hold on for a moment. Hello. Are you Joan? Yes, that's correct. As of 3 p.m., we have received a total of 47 cancellation calls. Currently, only one room remains reserved under the name Class 3. Grade 12, Number 1 High School. The reservation was made under your name. Would you like to keep the room? I held my phone, the sunlight streaming through the window and falling gently on my hand. It's very warm. Keep, I said. Thank you. After hanging up, I stared at the solitary one on my phone screen. A profound sense of calm settled in my heart, unlike anything I had ever felt before. Sure, being alone somehow brings more peace. Just then, a text message arrived from an unknown number. I tapped it open. I'm sorry, Zhao Ran, and thank you. No signature. I paused, confused by what it meant. Right after that, another text message came in. Still the same number. I am Shao Xiaoven. I didn't cancel the reservation, but my mom forced me to cancel it because she believed when XIN I just secretly rebooked the room at Wuhan using my own allowance. But the price was the original $288. I just want you to know you did nothing wrong. They're the ones who were wrong. Xiao Ziwen, the class monitor in charge of academics, was a very quiet girl who didn't speak much. My eyes welled up with tears once again. So, someone did believe in me after all. I replied to her promptly, don't book the 288 one. Your 150 room is still there. I didn't let the hotel cancel it. I told the owner we need to keep 2 rooms reserved. Who's the other one for? She replied quickly. I smiled and typed 2 words. It's a secret. The internet-addicted boy who hadn't uttered a single word in the group chat from start to finish. The desk mate I thought had long since lost contact sent me a Q message at 2:59 in the afternoon. Thanks, monitor. I'm definitely staying at the hotel. Anyone who backs out is an idiot. 03. The day I went to school to pick up my admission ticket was the darkest day of my entire senior year. The moment I stepped into the classroom, the noisy room fell silent in an instant. Dozens of eyes like searchlights were fixed on me in unison. There was curiosity, contempt, sympathy, but above all, a sense of Shannon. I could hear the whispers coming from the corner. Look, that's her, the one who takes kickbacks. I heard she stayed in a $150 hotel all by herself. How extravagant, how despicable, trying to make money off even her own classmates. I walked to my seat with a blank expression, not looking at anyone. My desk mate, Lua, the internet-addicted teenager, was slumped over the desk, fast asleep. I had just sat down when someone bumped into my back. Not too hard, but not too gently either. The pencil case in his hand fell to the ground, and pens scattered all over the floor. This is Weinha, the sports committee member. He and his cronies walked past me with smirking grins. Oh, sorry, class monitor. Didn't see you there. His tone was laced with insincere apology and unmasked malice. A stifled ripple of laughter spread through the crowd. In the past, I might have silently picked up the pens one by one and swallowed my pride. But not today. I didn't even bend down. I just quietly watched Wang Ha's receding figure. Then, lifting a foot, they used the tip of their shoe to gently, one by one, push all the pens scattered on the floor into the trash can in the corner. The movement was small, but enough for everyone to see. The raucous laughter came to an abrupt halt. Everyone was stunned, including Wingo. He spun around abruptly, his face alternating between pale and flushed. Joe ran. What do you mean? I lifted my head, met his gaze, and spoke calmly. Nothing much. It's dirty. I don't want it anymore. I'm talking about a pen. But everyone understood. I wasn't talking about a pen. And Winga's face instantly flushed a deep purplish red. He lunged forward and raised his fist. Are you looking for a death wish? The whole class held their breath, ready for a good show. When Zen sat not far away, a smug smile curling at the corner of her lips, her eyes brimming with anticipation. I didn't dodge. I merely watched his raised fist, my gaze as cold as ice. Go ahead. Hit me, I said. Hit me right here. I pointed at my own face. The college entrance exam is tomorrow. If you throw that punch, It's deliberate assault on a classmate, and you'll be responsible for making them miss the exam. Even if you're not expelled, it will go on your permanent record and disqualify you from admission to any university. Forget about your spot as a sports specialized student. 2. Can you and your family bear the consequences? My voice wasn't loud, but each word struck Wang Ha's heart like a cold hammer. His raised fist froze in midair. Let it go, but feel embarrassed. Can TT let go, but truly afraid to strike? Just then, a lazy voice drifted over from beside me. What's all the racket? Some of us are trying to sleep. Luja stretched and lifted his head from the desk. He rubbed his blurry eyes and glanced at Wineho and me, locked in our standoff. Then he let out a yawn and slowly got to his feet. He stood at 6 feet 1 inch, a good half head taller than W. Howe, with the long, strong fingers of someone who spent years gaming. Without a word, he walked up to Hu, raised his hand, and gently, one finger at a time, pried open the clenched fist before letting it fall. The whole time his face wore a look of sleepy confusion, but his eyes were unusually clear and alert. He patted Wineho on the shoulder, grinning to reveal a pair of small K9 teeth. Hey man, the college entrance exam is right around the corner. Don't get so worked up. It'll affect your performance. Wanga looked at him, his lips parting slightly, but in the end, not a single word came out. He shot me a fierce glare before slinking back to his seat. A farce, quietly, and without a sound, came to an end. Luja slumped back onto the desk as if nothing had just happened. Only I saw it, before he dropped to the ground. He mouthed 2 words to me. Looking good. I couldn't help but laugh. It was the first genuine smile in days. Teacher Lu, the homeroom teacher, walked in carrying a stack of admission tickets. He stood at the podium and cleared his throat. All right, settle down, everyone, regarding the exam venue hotel situation. I know there have been some recent frustrations here. I just want to emphasize one point. He glanced at Windshine, then at me. The college entrance exam is your own business. No matter what, you must take responsibility for your choices. Don't let external factors undermine over a decade of dedicated study. That would be too much of a loss for the gain. With that, he began distributing the exam admission tickets. When he called my name, he made a point of walking over to me and personally handed me my ticket. He patted me on the shoulder and said in a low voice, Joran, don't overthink it. Just focus on doing your best. I nodded. Thank you, teacher. After collecting our admission tickets, everyone gradually left. When XIN, surrounded by a crowd, passed by me like a proud white swan, she stopped in her tracks and looked down at me. Ren, best of luck to you. Her voice was sickeningly sweet. I hope you can get a good night's sleep in that 150 a night hotel. I looked up at her. You too. Good luck. Hope you don't get stuck in suburban traffic tomorrow morning. When Sheen's expression shifted slightly, she probably never expected that someone as meek and easily pushed around as me would dare to talk back to her face. She snorted coldly, turned on her heel, and walked away. We have a shuttle bus arranged, so there's no need for you to concern yourself. I paid her no further mind. I took out my phone and checked the weather forecast tomorrow. Our city will experience a severe rainstorm. The Meteorological Observatory has issued a red alert. I put my phone back in my pocket and walked out of the classroom. The sky was a dull gray with dark clouds gathering on the horizon. The air was thick with the scent of an impending storm alone. With my backpack, I walked toward the hotel 300 from the exam hall. Behind me lay the isolation and alienation of the entire class. Yet in my heart, I felt a peace and resolve like never before. My college entrance exam is my war. From this moment on, it officially begins. I blocked the class group chat, removed all unnecessary contacts. My world has shrunk to just exams. And myself. I walked into the hotel lobby, and Xiaoan and Luja were already waiting for me. Xiaoan saw me and gave a slightly embarrassed smile. Luja, on the other hand, looked like he hadn't slept at all, constantly yawning. Let's go. Let's check out the room first, I said. The 3 of us, like a strange trio, walked down the empty corridor. I pushed open my bedroom door. The room was small but very tidy. Outside the window, directly across the way was the main gate of number 7 middle school. It was right there within reach. I walked to the window and gazed out at the gradually darkening sky. The phone gave a little vibration. I picked it up. It's the latest update from the weather forecast app. Super Typhoon Messenger made landfall this afternoon. From tonight through tomorrow, our city is expected to experience a once-in-a-century persistent torrential downpour, which may trigger severe urban flooding. All citizens are urged to take disaster prevention measures and avoid unnecessary travel. I looked at this alert on my phone, then out the window at the oppressive Lennon clouds. The corners of my mouth curled upwards. Involuntarily bring it on. Let the storm rage even more fiercely. For we sat quietly on the sofa in the hotel lobby. Xiao Xiaoan held a book of practice problems, studying it intently. Lija had his headphones on, his fingers flying across the phone screen. He was probably gaming, and I just stared out the window. The sky grew darker and darker. It felt as if someone had slowly draped a massive black cloth over me. Bit by bit, the wind began to howl, whipping the ornamental trees at the hotel entrance until they swayed wildly. A massive storm was brewing. I still have that class group chat saved on my phone. I never left it. I just muted the notifications almost without thinking. I clicked on it. The group chat was buzzing with activity when she posted a set of 9 photos in a grid. It showed her cousin's luxurious suite at the suburban hotel, the buffet dinner, and the outdoor swimming pool. In the photo, she and a few girls are wearing beautiful dresses, their smiles bright as flowers. Thanks for the wonderful hospitality. Cousin, everyone, relax and enjoy today, and give it your all on the exam tomorrow. A string of thanks and flattery below. Windscreen is amazing. Following you is definitely the right choice. This place is incredible. It's even better than a 5-star hotel. $80 for a place like this. You must be dreaming. Who is the most enthusiastic? Shin, you're our goddess. Lead us to victory. I stared at the chat records, expressionless. I almost felt like laughing. A flock of canaries, caged and pampered, oblivious to the storm brewing beyond their gilded bars. Xiaoan seemed to notice my gaze and leaned in for a look, her delicate brow furrowed slightly. Are they perhaps a bit too relaxed? I put my phone away and said casually, maybe. Lija took off his headphones at that moment. He stretched, his joints popping with a series of cracks. The suburbs, low-lying area, the drainage system's been neglected for years. He blurted it out, seemingly out of nowhere. Both Xiaoan and I turned to look at him. He shrugged. I used to live over there. It flooded every summer at its worst. The water would come up to your thighs. He said it casually, as if it had nothing to do with him. And Xiao Zioan's face, however, instantly turned pale. Then what are they going to do tomorrow? Glanced at her eyes, filled with pity. I don't know, that's up to fate. With that, he put his headphones back on and returned to his gaming world, however, could no longer focus on her book. She was a bit restless. Maybe we should remind them. I looked at her and shook my head. Do you think they'll believe it? They'll just think we're jealous that we're cursing them. And fell silent. She knows I'm telling the truth. In their eyes, the 3 of us are traitors, outsiders. They're the kind of petty people who can't wait for something bad to happen to them. At 7 o'clock in the evening, the hotel restaurant delivered dinner to us. 3 dishes in a soup balanced with meat and vegetables, light and delicious. The restaurant manager came over specifically to say, the owner has instructed that the 3 examinees are honored guests, and their pre-exam meals must be nutritious and hygienic. We ate our meal in silence. Outside the window, the first bolt of lightning tore through the pitch-black night sky. Then came a deafening clap of thunder boom. Huge raindrops pattered heavily against the glass window. The wind held louder, and louder, like the wailing of ghosts and wolves. Xiaoan instinctively hunched her shoulders. In Lija's game, a defeat sound effect played. For once, he didn't curse. He simply set down his phone and gazed out the window. It's starting, he said. I set down my chopsticks and walked over to the window. The rain had become a steady downpour. The entire world was enveloped by a vast curtain of rain. Pedestrians on the street screamed and scattered in panic. Even at their highest setting, the car's windshield wipers were useless. The roadside sewer grates began gushing murky rainwater like fountains. The water level was rising at a visibly alarming rate. My phone vibrated again. This is the final warning issued by the City Meteorological Observatory. Typhoon Messenger has made direct landfall. The city has activated its highest-level flood control emergency response. All public transportation will be suspended at 10 o'clock p.m. All residents are advised to stay at home and ensure their safety. I forwarded this message to that silent class group. No caption was added. I'm just fulfilling my final duty as class monitor. The group chat fell silent for 3 seconds. Then when Sheen's message popped up, it's an eye-rolling emoji. Zhao Ran, are you done yet? Who asked you to come here? And spread all this alarmist nonsense. Wa immediately chimed in. Exactly. Who are you trying to scare? We've got a bus here. Rain or shine. Li Chan also said. It's hilarious. She couldn't book a good hotel herself, so she's hoping we run into trouble. What a twisted mindset. I looked at their replies and turned off my phone. I've done all I can. The rest I'll leave to fate that night. I slept exceptionally soundly. The roar of rain, the howl of wind, the crash of thunder filled my ears like a grand symphony. The triumphant overture played for me. 5. I was jolted awake by the insistent ringing of the telephone. It was just beginning to dawn outside. The storm raged on wind, and rain lashing relentlessly as if the sky and earth had merged into a single chaotic wash of water. I picked up my phone, and the caller ID showed old Lou, the homeroom teacher. I pressed the answer button. Joe Ran. Joe Ran. Where are you right now? It was old Lou's voice, sounding more anxious than ever, even trembling. In the background, there was the clamor of voices and the heavy sound of pouring rain. Teacher, I'm at the hotel. I replied calmly. Hotel. Are you okay? Are you safe? I'm doing well. The hotel is right across from the exam venue, just a 5-minute walk away. On the other end of the line, old listening to let out a long, relieved breath. Then his voice broke into a desperate sob. It's over. It's all over. Joe Ran. Right now. Right now. You're the only one near the exam site. I remained silent, listening quietly. When Zen and the others, they're trapped in a hotel out in the suburbs. The road over there is completely flooded. The water is more than a meter deep. Cars can't get through at all. I just got a call from Winshin's mom. She was crying on the phone, saying, the hotel has lost power, too, and the signal keeps cutting in and out. Their bus got stuck on the road last night. Old Blue's voice was thick with regret and helplessness. I should have seen it coming. Why didn't I stop them? I failed completely as a homeroom teacher. I remained silent. There was no comfort and no blame. All of this was their own choice. Teacher, it's too late to talk about this now. I spoke. My voice is cold as ice. The first exam starts at 9 a.m. and no one is allowed to enter after 8:30. It's 6:30 now, so they still have 2 hours. 2 hours. It's too late. Even the rescue teams can't get in. Old Lou's voice completely broke. Joe Ran. Teacher, I need to ask you for a favor. What's up? You go into the exam hall first. Do your best. You're our class's last hope. The last hope. Those words coming from old Lou's mouth were dripping with irony. I understand. Teacher. I hung up the phone. The room was quiet. I walked to the window and drew back the curtains. The outside world has turned into an ocean. The road vanished completely as murky flood waters engulfed everything, leaving only the tops of cars struggling above the water. 300 m away, the No 7 middle school exam site stood like an isolated island, quietly enduring the storm. So close, yet so far. I washed up and got dressed. Xiao Xiaoan and Lua were also up. The three of us were enjoying a leisurely breakfast at the hotel restaurant. Soy milk, fried duok sticks, and boiled eggs steaming hot. Luja was scrolling through his phone when he suddenly let out a snort of laughter. He passed the phone around for us to see. It was a live stream of a local news report. A reporter in a raincoat stood waist deep in water, shouting himself to report on the disaster. And behind him stood the very suburban resort hotel where Winshin and the others were staying. The European-style fountain at the hotel entrance has been submerged by the flood. A group of people stood awkwardly on the second-floor balcony, frantically waving their arms. The camera zooms in. I saw Wenxin's face clearly, bare of makeup, and filled with terror and despair. Her beautiful dress was now soaked through by the rain, clinging to her in a sodden, disheveled mess by her side. Wingha, Li Shen, and those classmates who had mocked me in the group chat just yesterday all looked like drowned rats. The news headline is eye-catching. Dozens of college entrance exam candidates trapped at a suburban hotel due to heavy rain. Situation critical. Xiao Xiaoan stared at the screen, her lips parting slightly, but in the end, she said nothing. She quietly finished the last sip of soy milk in her bowl, finished breakfast at 7:30. We put on the disposable raincoats provided by the hotel and opened our umbrellas. Let's go, I said. The three of us stepped into the torrential downpour. The puddle at the hotel entrance only came up to my ankles. We waded through the water step by step toward the examination hall, 300 m away. Along the way, I saw many cars stranded on the road. The person inside the car desperately pounded on the window. I also saw several students trying to wade through the floodwaters to get to their exams only to be held back firmly by their frantic parents. You can't go. It's too dangerous. Cries, screams, and the howling wind and rain all blended together. It was like a mournful dirge for the end of the world, and the three of us were the only ones moving against the tide. And all that chaos. At 8 o'clock sharp, we arrived at the entrance of No. 7 Middle School. Police tape had already been strung up across the school gate. Several police officers and teachers were maintaining order. A teacher spotted us and came running over in surprise. Which school are you from? How did you get here? No. One high school. I replied. We're staying at the hotel right across the street. The teacher's face was a mixture of shock and envy. Hurry, get inside. We've been waiting for you. We walked into the examination hall. The campus was nearly empty with hardly any students in sight. Just then, my phone received a text message. It's from old Lu. I clicked Joran. Just received an emergency notice from the Education Bureau. Except for you, Xiao Xiaowen, and Luja, all other students in our class were late and have been disqualified from the morning Chinese exam 06. That text message felt like a cold verdict. I stared at every word on the phone screen, feeling nothing inside. They deserve it. Xiao Xiaoan and Lua received the same message. Xiao Xiaoan's eyes grew red, whether from sympathy or lingering fear. Lu, she let out a whistle, his face wearing an expression that said he'd seen it coming. Let's go. It's time to head in. He patted me on the shoulder. We found our exam room. According to the information on our admission ticket, when I pushed open the door to the special exam room for Class 3, Senior Year 3, I froze. In the vast classroom, 50 desks and chairs were arranged in neat rows. A familiar name was affixed to each table when Wei-Olin. And at this moment, the entire classroom was empty except for 3 people. Me, Xiao, Xiaoan, Lua. There were also 2 proctors with serious expressions. Sunlight streamed in through the glass panes, washed clean by the rain. It cast long, stretched out shadows across the empty classroom. The atmosphere was profoundly still, almost sacred. 47 empty desks, and chairs stood like silent tombstones. 47 ridiculous dreams were laid to rest. The invigilator looked at the 3 of us, then back at the list in his hand. His eyes were filled with confusion and surprise, but he didn't ask anything, just announced the exam. Rules in a strictly businesslike manner. Please turn off your phones and all electronic devices and place them in the bags at the front. No talking during the exam. No. I sat in my own seat. To my left, there is a warm, an empty space. To my right was Wang Ha's empty seat. I could even picture the proud, disdainful snee they'd be wearing if they were here right now. Too bad they won't get the chance. At 8:30, the warning bell rang. The proctor began distributing the answer sheets and scratch paper in the vast classroom. The only sound was the rustle of paper. I took a deep breath and inhaled the fresh scent of rain-dampened grass and earth. My heart is at peace like never before. 12 years of relentless study suddenly felt tangible in this very moment. It all came down to this single flimsy test paper. It all hinged on this 3-hour battle. At 9 o'clock sharp, the bell rang, signaling the official start of the exam. The exam has begun. The proctor's voice echoed through the empty classroom. I picked up my pen and carefully wrote my name on the exam paper. Xiaoan. The downpour outside the window seems to have eased a little through a gap in the dark clouds. A golden ray of sunlight even broke through. I began to answer the questions. The first question is multiple choice, testing character pronunciation. It took me just 1 second to pick the correct answer. My mind was like a high-speed precision instrument. All the knowledge points came to mind with perfect clarity. No more whispers from classmates. No more provocations from windshine. No more accusations from parents. My world has shrunk to just these problems in me. Time slips away. Second by second, I finished all the basic questions and started writing the essay. This year's essay topic is choice. When I saw this topic, I couldn't help but smile. This topic was practically made for me without a moment's hesitation. I picked up my pen and started writing. I didn't write any of those hollow, high-minded platitudes. What I write is me. I wrote a story about responsibility and betrayal. I wrote a story about short-sightedness and foresight. I wrote a story about human nature and choice. I name no one, yet every word alludes to everything that has transpired these past few days. The words I write are common, objective, yet carry a sharp, chilling edge like a scalpel. They slice through all false pretenses, cutting straight to the core of human nature as I put down the final period. The bell, signaling the end of the exam, rang out at that very moment. All candidates, please stop writing. I set down my pen and let out a long, deep breath. I looked up and happened to meet Luja's gaze. He gave me an okay gesture and smiled like a child, Jiao Shao, and also gave me a shy smile. The three of us stood up and walked out of the examination room in the hallway. Old Lu stood anxiously waiting. He saw us and immediately came forward to greet us. His eyes were bloodshot, looking as if he hadn't slept all night. How did the exam go? He asked urgently. It was all right, I replied flatly. That's good, that's good. He wrung his hands, hesitating to speak. Teacher, what about them? Josen couldn't help but ask. Old Lu's face instantly fell. He let out a sigh that the rescue team just arrived, rescued everyone, and is now taking them to the city. However, he paused, his voice heavy with exhaustion. I completely missed the morning exam. Whether I can make it to the math test this afternoon is still up in the air. Failing to take the Chinese exam means losing 150 points from the total score of their college entrance exams are basically over. 07 lunch break is 1.5 hours. Xiaoxiao Luja and I walked side by side out of the classroom building. The sky had cleared. The sunlight was dazzling. The air fresh. It was as if the cataclysmic downpour from that morning had been nothing but an illusion. But the vast pools of water on the ground and the faint wail of sirens in the distance reminded us that it was all real. Let's go to the hotel restaurant for dinner, I said. The boss said he's arranged a victory lunch for us. Lu responded with a lazy murmur, Xiao, and nodded. We had just reached the school gate when a white bus came lurching toward us. The vehicle is caked in mud. Looks like he just crawled out of a mudslide. The car door swung open. The first person to step out was our homeroom teacher, Old Lu. He looked even more haggard than he had that morning. It was as if he had aged 10 years in an instant. Then the students from our class filed out one by one. Everyone was silent. Each person looked like a dejected, defeated rooster. Their hair was plastered damply against their foreheads. The clothes were crumpled and spattered with mud. Their eyes were vacant, their faces deathly pale. The youthful pride that once shone on their faces had been washed completely away by the downpour. Surrounded by a few other girls when Sheen was the last to step out of the car. She had changed her clothes, but her face was as pale as the white dress she wore. A frightening, ghostly white. She saw me standing at the school gate, clean, neat, and calm. It formed a stark and bitterly ironic contrast with their bedraggled group. Her gaze instantly turned venomous. It was a mixture of jealousy, resentment, and a deep, unforgettable hatred. If looks could kill, I'd be dead 100 times over. I did not flinch, but met her gaze calmly. All the other students had noticed me. Too, a low murmur began to ripple through the crowd. Look, it's Jo Ran. How can she act like nothing's wrong? She did that on purpose. She already knew it was going to rain heavily. so she deliberately led us to the suburbs. She's so calculating. It's terrifying listening to those absurd accusations. I could only find them laughable. The torrential downpour didn't just flood the roads. It drowned their reason as well. Wingha pushed through the crowd and rushed up to me in a few strides. His eyes were bloodshot like a bull that had been provoked. Joe ran. "Are you feeling pretty smug right now?" he asked for gritted teeth, enunciating each word. I hadn't even opened my mouth. Luja stepped forward, placing himself between me and them. He was taller than Weo, and that alone gave him an imposing edge. "Weno, did you fail Chinese so badly you've forgotten how to speak properly? Can Zhao Ren control the weather? Is he supposed to stop the rain? You chose that godforsaken place yourselves to save a few bucks, and now you're blaming others. Have you no shame?" Luja's words are always lazy and venomous. A few words left Winga speechless. His face turned a deep purplish shred red, and his fists clenched so tightly they crackled. Lau hurried over and grabbed Weo. "Enough talking. We have a math test this afternoon. To the lounge. Everyone get to the lounge now." Like a weary shepherd, he heard the lost flock onward when Zen walked past me. She stopped and said in a voice only the two of us could hear, "Zhao Ran, you just wait. You won't get away with this." I looked at her and smiled, always ready to join you. Having said that, I turned away from the chaos and noise behind them. He turned, and with Zhaoan and Luja headed toward the hotel across the street, a distance of 300 m. On one side lies hell, on the other paradise. The hotel restaurant was heavily air-conditioned. The manager warmly ushered us to a window table. For dishes and a soup were already laid out on the table. Sweet and sour pork, steamed savase, garlic, broccoli, and a mushroom soup. A feast for the senses. The three of us ate quietly. Outside the window stood the shaken students and their harried teacher. I saw several classmates crouched on the ground, sobbing uncontrollably as they broke down emotionally. Several parents also rushed over upon hearing the news, pointing at old Lou's nose and shouting abuse at him. A massive commotion unfolded at the entrance of No Southern 7 Middle School, and we separated by just a pane of glass watched on with cold detachment. "They probably won't do well on the math exam this afternoon," either said softly. "Once your mindset collapses, not even a god can save you," Luja said leisurely, picking up a piece of fish with his chopsticks. I took a sip of the soup. It was delicious. That was their own choice. I said we just need to look after ourselves. At that moment, my heart turned to stone 08. At 2:30 p.m. we walked back into the examination hall. This time, the classroom was packed. 50 seats, all filled to capacity. But the atmosphere was even more oppressive and silent than it had been that morning when just the three of us were there. There was a taste of despair in the air. It lay on everyone's heart like a sodden rag. As I walked into the classroom, all eyes once again turned to me. This time, it wasn't just schadenfreude and contempt, but transformed into naked, unvarnished hatred. It was as if I weren't their classmate, but the sworn enemy who had personally ruined their futures. I ignored the stares and walked straight to my seat when she was already sitting there. She wore light makeup, trying to hide her exhaustion and dishment, but her red-rimmed eyes and trembling fingertips gave her away. She lowered her head, pretending to read, but I knew her sidelong gaze clung to me like a serpent. I sat down calmly, took out my stationery, and arranged it neatly. It felt like performing a sacred ritual. The students around me all seemed to be in poor condition. Some were drinking water nonstop. Some were massaging their temples with force. Others just stared blankly out the window, their eyes vacant. Wang Hao, who had been threatening to beat me just that morning, now lay slumped in his chair like a dog with its spine ripped out. All trace of fighting spirit had vanished from his face. Only numbness remained. The warning bell rang. The invigilators entered the room. The same two from the morning session. Their expressions had grown much more serious than they were this morning. They had clearly also learned about what had happened in this class. "Please adjust your mindset and prepare for the exam." One of the teachers spoke up, a note of barely perceptible sympathy in their voice. "Whatever happened this morning is in the past now. The afternoon math exam is a new beginning." I hope everyone can perform at their best." These words were less an encouragement and more a consolation, but for a dam that has already collapsed. Any words of comfort ring hollow. During the distribution of the exam papers, something unexpected happened. Li Shen, the class arts committee member, suddenly let out a loud sob, buried her face in her arms on the desk, and broke into uncontrollable tears. Her sobs acted like a fuse, instantly igniting the classroom's already suffocating tension. A few girls began to sob along with her. The boys were frustrated, slamming their pens and tugging at their hair. The entire examination hall was in chaos. "Order! Order!" The proctor barred a sharp reprimand. "Anyone who disrupts exam discipline again will be dealt with as a violation immediately." Lately, Shin's sobs were abruptly choked back. Yet, that stifled, despairing sob spread through the air like a virus. I let out a sigh. They had already lost before the war even began. The bell for the official exam rings. I picked up my pen and began to read the question. This year's math problems are quite challenging, especially the last two major questions, which really test logical thinking skills. But I felt more at ease than ever before. My mind was unusually clear and calm. Every formula, every theorem is etched into my mind, ready to be summoned at a moment's notice. All the surrounding distractions seemed to fade away. The sounds of crying, sighing, and the restless rustling of papers had all faded into distant background noise in my world. Nothing remains but problems, and the joy of solving them. Time slipped quietly away as I finished the final step of the last major problem. I glanced at my watch. There were 40 minutes left until the end of the exam. I let out a long sigh of relief and began checking my work from the beginning. I examined everything meticulously, leaving no stone unturned for any potential error. After checking twice, there were still 20 minutes left. I looked up and scanned my surroundings. The sight before me sent a jolt through my heart. Most students were frowning and at a loss, unable to start on the last two big questions. Why? Hal threw his pen down and slumped over the table, seemingly giving up. And when Sheen, who was beside me, was in an even worse state, her sketch pad was filled with messy, chaotic drawings. A fine sheen of sweat broke out on his forehead. She bit her lip hard, her eyes brimming with tears. Her once proud and beautiful face was now contorted with anxiety and helplessness. She seemed to sense my gaze, whipping her head around to shoot me a venomous glare. That look seemed to say, "What are you so smug about?" I averted my gaze, my heart undisturbed. I turned in my paper early. The moment I stood up and walked toward the podium, I felt the 49 pairs of eyes in the class piercing my back like arrows. I left the classroom. The hallway was completely empty. The afternoon sun was warm and bright. I took a deep breath. I knew it. My college entrance exam was already half won, but theirs was completely over 09. I was waiting by the flower bed at the foot of the teaching building for Luja, and Xiao Xiaoan. Luja emerged just as the closing bell rang. He looked completely at ease, and when he saw me, he even flashed a peace sign. "How's it going?" I asked. The last part of the final big question was a bit tricky, but the rest was a piece of cake. He yawned. "What about you?" 20 minutes early. Pervert, he remarked succinctly. Xiao Xiaoan emerged a few minutes later. Her face was somewhat pale, and she looked thoroughly drained. "I'm not feeling too great," she said, sounding a bit dejected. "I didn't have time to finish the last big problem." "It's okay," I said, patting her on the shoulder. Not many people could have solved it anyway. We were in the middle of a conversation. A flood of students poured out of the classroom building. Our classmates also blended into the crowd and made their way out. Their faces were edged with expressions of utter doom outside the examination hall. Anxious parents had already gathered in a crowd. When they saw their child looking utterly despondent, a long-suppressed fury erupted in an instant. The first to speak up was Wang He's mother. She was a stout, middle-aged woman with a booming voice. She grabbed Wang Hao just as he stepped out of the school gate, and her eyes welled up the moment she saw his state. But she offered no comfort to her son. Instead, she whipped her head around, and like a radar locked onto my position in the crowd with pinpoint accuracy. She let go of Wingo and charged toward me like a runaway tank. Zhao ran. She shrieked my name. "You jinx! You walking disaster. She rushed up to me, pointed her finger in my face, and started screaming. R1 is a student athlete. He was a shoo-in for a top-tier university. And now you've ruined everything. Are you happy? Her voice drew everyone's attention. Parents and students nearby gathered around. I became the eye of the storm auntie. You can eat whatever you want, but you can't just say whatever you want. I looked at her and spoke calmly. Wang Hao didn't do well on the exam. That's his own problem. What does it have to do with me? None of your business. Wao's mother raised her voice another octave. If you hadn't insisted on booking that crappy hotel at $150 a night, would Winshin have gone out of her way to find a cheaper place for everyone? Are we going to be stuck out here in the suburbs? Is Arhu going to miss his Chinese exam? This ridiculous attempt to twist the truth made me laugh in sheer disbelief. Is this what they call melodramatic reality? No logic, no reason, only emotion. Other parents also gathered around, launching a verbal assault on me. Yeah, you're the one. You're the source of it all. Such a young age, yet so cruel-hearted. Watching the whole class walk into a fire pit. We've already called the police. We reported you for commercial fraud. Just wait for the cops to come and arrest you. Li Qin's mother was so agitated she tried to step forward and shove me. Lua stepped in front of me in one swift motion, blocking her. He stared coldly at the group of parents who were acting like lunatics. A bunch of overgrown babies who raised a bunch of little babies. He let out a scornful laugh. You made the choice. Own the consequences. How can you still not understand such a simple truth after living half your life? Risking your child's future for a few dozen dollars? Do you even deserve to be parents? His words struck like a sharp knife, piercing the deepest wounds of these parents. A sudden hush fell over the crowd. Just then, when Zen and her mother stepped out from among the people I had seen when Zen's mother before at the parent-teacher conference. She arrived in a red Porsche dressed in a full Chanel suit, commanding an undeniable presence. She walked up to me and looked down at me. Her gaze was cold, haughty, and filled with disdain when she hid behind her, clutching her arm with a tearful, pitiful expression. Mom, please don't blame Zoen. It's all my fault. I was too naive, too eager to save everyone money. I never expected it would rain so hard. I really had no idea. She spoke through her tears. With acting skills like that, it's a waste of talent not to audition for drama school. When Sheen's mother gently patted her daughter's back, then turned her gaze back to me. You're Joe Ran. Her voice was devoid of warmth. My daughter meant well, but ended up causing trouble. She has her share of responsibility. But you, as the class monitor, knew full well that a severe rainstorm was forecast. Yet, instead of warning your classmates, you stood by and watched them head into danger. Worse still, you posted alarmist messages in the group chat, deliberately spreading panic. Your behavior has gone beyond a simple student conflict. She paused, and each word struck me like an ice pick. I suspect you're taking malicious revenge. Just because when XIN blocked her kickback scheme. I looked at her, watching this mother-daughter duo who invert right and wrong. It suddenly struck me that arguing with them was an insult to my own intelligence. I didn't say a word. I just took out my phone and turned on the recording function. Then I lifted my head, meeting the gaze of Winshin's mother, and asked slowly, word by word, Auntie, are you saying that I should bear full responsibility for this natural disaster? 10. Mother Winshin's words brought a sudden, 1-second hush to the clamor of the room. Her haughty demeanor made it seem as though she wasn't the one in the wrong, but rather the judge presiding over my trial. I looked at her and smiled. Auntie, are you saying that I should bear full responsibility for this natural disaster? Is that it? I repeated the sentence clearly and deliberately at the same time. I turned my phone screen to face her on the screen. The words recording and the pulsing red timer were starkly visible in the sunlight. When Sheen's mother's expression changed in an instant, it was a brilliant expression, shifting instantly from supreme arrogance to sheer panic. Why? Why are you recording? Her voice, no longer as steady as before, carried a barely noticeable tremor of unease. It's nothing, I said flatly. It's just that I found your remarks earlier to be truly brilliant. As an outstanding businesswoman, you've pinpointed the core of the issue with precision. That is to say, I ran and the sole person responsible for the failure of all 47 students in Class 3, Grade 12, in the college entrance examination. I was afraid my memory might fail me, and I'd miss any of your wise words. So I recorded them so I can revisit and learn from them again and again. My tone was calm and studied, but every word pierced Wenxin's mother's heart like a needle. The parents around us also saw my phone. Their expressions began to grow subtly complex. The previously united front began to show cracks. Auntie, if you're so sure, then it was me who caused all of this. I took a step forward and looked her straight in the eyes. Let's walk through the whole thing from start to finish. Let's have the uncles and aunts weigh in and give their opinion. First, it was me, Zhou, who spent a whole week running around like crazy to find this one hotel. Just 300 m from the exam site at 150 yuan per night. Everyone here agrees with that, right? A hush fell over the crowd. A few parents nodded instinctively a second. It was your daughter, Wenxin, who without any evidence publicly accused me of taking kickbacks in the class group chat. Wenxin, do you admit to this? I turned my gaze toward Xin, who was hiding behind her mother when Zen bit her lip, her face pale, not daring to look at me. Third, immediately after slandering me, classmate when Xin promptly recommended a hotel in the suburbs run by her cousin, costing 80 a night. Is it unreasonable for me to suspect there might be some kind of kickback scheme involved here? Can I suspect that classmate when Zin is actually the one trying to get a cut of the action? That's a lie. Wenxin finally couldn't hold back and let out a scream. I was just trying to save everyone money. Save money? I let out a cold laugh to save 70 yuan, spending an extra hour and a half each day commuting and staking one's future on unreliable transportation. Student Wenxin, you've really got this all figured out, haven't you? Or maybe you already knew your cousin's hotel was nothing but cheap. Wenxin was silenced by me, unable to utter another word, tears welling up and falling again. I ignored her and turned my attention back to her mother. Fourth, and most importantly, on the night before the Gao, the city's meteorological observatory issued a red alert for a severe rainstorm. I forwarded the warning to the group chat immediately. I paused, scanning the faces around me, which were beginning to show signs of guilt. So, what exactly were you all doing at the time? Oh, now I remember. You were all mocking me, saying I was being alarmist, and had a twisted mind. Your goddess when Zen even sent an eye-rolling emoji. Wang Ho, I heard your group has a bus that runs rain or shine. I looked at Wang A, and he immediately averted his gaze. No, I'd like to ask all of you, which is more significant, natural disasters or man-made calamities? Was my warning not timely enough? Or was it the arrogance and stupidity of every single one of you that doomed your children's future with your own hands? My voice grew louder and colder like a knife. It stripped away everyone's hypocritical facade. A deathly silence fell over the scene. The parents who were just shouting from my head a moment ago now hung their heads low like a group of condemned criminals standing trial when Sheen's mother's face had turned utterly ash. And having lived a life of privilege for half her lifetime, she had never suffered such public humiliation before. What a sharp tongue. She hissed her clenched teeth. Even if what you say is true, it doesn't change the fact that you're the one who destroyed Arwen. Fine. I nodded. Since you insist on seeing it that way, we'll settle this in court. I shook, the phone in my hand. This recording, along with all the chat logs from the class group, I believe is enough for the judge to determine who is maliciously defaming whom, who is involved in commercial fraud, and ultimately who caused this tragedy. Oh, right. I added. I heard that when Sheen has already received an offer from a prestigious university abroad. Will this criminal record suspected of commercial fraud have any interesting effects on her visa? That sentence was the last straw when She's mother staggered, her body swaying violently, and she stared at me unblinking. And for the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. 11. Fear is a force more powerful than anger. It can shatter all of a person's defenses in an instant. On when Sheen's mother's well-kept face, all color drained away. Her daughter, her pride, and joy is also her greatest vulnerability, and I with precision gripped that very vulnerability. She looked at me, her lips trembling, but not a single word could escape them behind her. When she was already in tears, trembling from head to toe, the parents around them also saw the shift in the wind. They're not fools. The moment they realized that Antoinette's ship was sinking, their first instinct was to abandon it. Oh, this is all just a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. Mother was the first to change her expression, forcing an awkward smile onto her face. Joan, dear, please don't be angry. Auntie just got a bit flustered. Exactly. We were all just too hasty, and spoke without thinking. Li's mother quickly chimed in as well. A massive campaign of condemnation instantly turned into a grand apology session. Though the apology sounded so hollow and cheap, watching their ever-shifting expressions, I felt nothing but disgust. I ignored them. My gaze traveled over the crowd and settled on our homeroom teacher, old Lou. He remained on the outskirts of the crowd, silent like an outsider. His face was etched with exhaustion and guilt. I put away my phone and stopped the recording. Uncles and aunts, I spoke, my voice regaining its calm. The college entrance exam isn't over yet. Rather than wasting time here blaming each other, you'd be better off going home and comforting your children. Let them at the very least finish their final exam, to bring my high school years to a perfect close. With that, I looked at no one else. Let's go, I said to Joan and Luja. The three of us turned and walked away under the weight of everyone's complicated stares. No one dared to stop us anymore. Behind us, the whole farce continued in its ridiculous fashion. I heard Wenxin's mother's voice for the first time take on a shrill, hysterical edge. Joan, you stop right there. Delete that recording. I didn't look back. Luja turned around and flipped her the bird. We returned to the hotel. The cool air from the AC dispelled the oppressive heat and noise of the outside world. The three of us sat on the lobby sofa, none of us saying a word. It was a long time Befaria finally spoke softly. Zhao Ran, are you really going to sue them? I shook my head. No. Why? She asked, confused. They were so out of line. Because there's no need. I leaned back on the sofa, gazing at the ornate chandelier hanging from the ceiling. For them, failing the college entrance exam is already the harshest punishment. I don't need to do anything more. Life will teach them a lesson on my behalf. And besides, I smiled. Keeping that recording is far more useful than deleting it. It will hang over the heads of Exxon and her mother like the sword of Damocles forever. It will ensure they never sleep soundly again, not for a single night to come. This is more satisfying than any punishment the law could deliver. Lua was off to the side playing a mobile game when he suddenly spoke up. I hacked into No. 7 High School's campus network, both Xiao Ziawen, and I looked at him. He didn't even look up. I took a look at the back-end data for this afternoon's math exam. Our class average is 42. That number left us both speechless. Out of 150, the average score is 42. This is no longer just a test. This is a massacre. You, me, and Xiaoan. Luja continued. The scores of 3 individuals raised the average by 15 points. He finished speaking, looked up at me, and grinned. Team leader. Well done. My phone vibrated briefly. It was a text message from old Lu Ran. I'm sorry. I failed you as your teacher. I didn't protect you. I looked at that message and deleted it, my face expressionless. Sorry if sorry fixed everything. What would we need the police for? I stood up and stretched. Come on, let's go back to the room and review for the last exam. Once tomorrow's exam is over, it'll all be finished. Yes, it's all over. Our college entrance exam is about to conclude. Yet, their lives are just beginning as they face this trial. 12. The final day of the gallo. The test was on integrated science. This is the single subject in the entire college entrance examination that takes the longest time, carries the highest score weight, and most rigorously tests both comprehensive ability and mental fortitude. When I walked back into the examination hall, I could keenly sense the shift in the atmosphere once again. If yesterday afternoon's examination hall was like a powder keg about to explode, the examination hall this morning was like a morgue, silent, oppressive, and thick with the scent of death. 47 examinees like 47 soulless walking corpses. The expression on their faces was the same kind of numbness, hatred, anger, resentment. All these intense emotions seemed to have been drained away overnight. All that remained was a boundless despair. They couldn't even be bothered to look at me anymore, because they had come to a clear realization. I was no longer from the same world as them. And when she sat beside me, she's not wearing any makeup today, a plain face pale as paper. Her eyes were swollen and red like two peaches. The campus belle who once basked in the spotlight as proud as a peacock has vanished without a trace. Instead, there was an ordinary girl brought back to reality and stripped of her illusions, no even more down and up than an ordinary girl. She sat motionless, clutching a pen in her hand, her gaze blank and fixed on the space ahead. It was as if all the life had been drained from me. I averted my gaze, no longer paying attention to anyone. The exam had begun. The integrated science paper was, as always, full of challenges, physics calculations, chemical equations, biological genetic maps, like a series of intricate challenges. But I, on the other hand, handled it with ease. My mind, calm and clear. My pen tip glides swiftly across the exam paper. It makes a soft, pleasant rustling sound. That is me paying tribute to my 12 years of youth. That is me composing the prologue to my future. Time slips away, quietly as the pen glides across the page. I was so absorbed in the world of problem-solving that everything else faded away. When I looked up from the final essay question, I witnessed a scene that will stay with me forever. My desk mate, that internet-addicted teenager, Luja, he had finished all the questions and was now fast asleep, face down on the desk, even letting out a soft snore. The other students in the examination room, most people only get as far as the multiple choice and fill in the blank questions. The major essay questions at the end are left almost entirely blank. Some are just spinning their pens. Others are simply staring into space. Others simply followed Luja's lead, slumping over their desks in complete surrender. Were they truly incapable of doing it? Perhaps, but more often than not, they had simply lost the will to carry on, missed the Chinese exam, bombed the math test. Their total score was already doomed to be an ugly number. This final exam had lost all meaning to them. All that remains is endless torment. I even saw Wang Hao, the once arrogant sports committee member. He was looking at Luja, who was sound asleep beside him with a gaze I had never seen before, one that bordered on reverence. It was like gazing upon a deity, a god who can sleep peacefully, even in such dire circumstances. Suddenly, it all felt so pointless. I thought this was a war. I had prepared myself for a brutal, bloody fight, but my opponents surrendered and laid down their arms before the battle even began. It left me with a sense of helplessness, like punching a cotton ball effort, without impact. I turned in my exam half an hour early. I didn't wake Lusa. I just gently tapped 3 times on his desk. This is our secret code, meaning wait outside. I walked out of the exam hall. The sunlight was so bright it was almost blinding. I squinted, gazing at the deep blue sky. And my college entrance exam is over. A few minutes later, the bell signaling the end of the exam rang out across the entire campus. That bell, to me, was the trumpet of liberation. For some in that classroom, it was the death knell of judgment. Students poured out of the school building like a tidal wave. There was no post-exam relief on their faces, only a hollow, dead, and bewilderment. I saw Jo, and she ran towards me, a smile on her face. I finished. I actually finished smiling. I gave her a hug. Luja yawned and walked over. Class monitor, you turned in your paper way too early. I only got 20 minutes of sleep. The 3 of us exchanged a knowing smile. Behind us were the sounds of sobbing, the scolding of parents, and the shattering of dreams. Before us lay sunlight, a clear path, and a future of limitless possibilities. We walked toward the school gate. Old Lou stood at the entrance, watching us, his lips parted slightly, as if he wanted to say something. In the end, he simply bowed deeply to us. I ignored him. We walked right past him without a second glance. We didn't look back, because everything behind us is no longer our concern. My high school years, my youth at this moment, the curtain falls, and my life is only just beginning. 13. The bell marking the end of the college entrance exam was like a watershed moment. It cleanly divided my life into 2 halves. One half was a gloomy, oppressive past, half as a bright future. As I walked out of the school gate with Xiao Xiaoan and Lua, I didn't even glance back. That place filled with farce and betrayal is not worth a single shred of our nostalgia. Let's go for hot pot, Luja suggested, yawning lazily. I know a place that does. Amazing tripe. It's on me. Xiao Xiaoan waved her hand awkwardly. Let me handle this. I really owe you all for your help. I smiled and made the decision. Split the bill. Let's celebrate us survivors of a storm. We found a hot pot restaurant quite a distance from the school. The restaurant was bustling with noise and alive with warmth. It was filled with the uninhibited celebratory atmosphere that follows the Gallo exams. We ordered a split pot hot pot. The red chili oil bubbled fiercely, while the clear broth simmered deliciously like the three of us are. Lives are distinct as separate rivers, yet strangely harmonious. Come on, let's check the answers. Zhaoan took out her phone, an exam admission ticket from her backpack, feeling a bit nervous. Estimating your score is the first hurdle after the Gao. It's also the most agonizing one. Luja, however, waved his hand dismissively and dropped a chopstick full of tripe into the pot. What's there to agree with? It's a waste of time. Those answers online were rushed out by training institutions to be first. They're not reliable. He picked up the slightly curled blanched tripe, rolled it in the garlic-infused oil dip, and popped it into his mouth. A look of contentment. What? What should we do? Xiaoan asked, a hint of anxiety in her voice. Wait for the official answer. I guess. But Luja shifted his tone, smiling mysteriously. I've got it. Both Xiaoan and I were stunned. Got it. Where'd you get it? The Education Examination Authority's internal network. He said casually, just poked around a bit. And there it was. Xiaoan and I exchanged a look. We'd almost forgotten that this guy who looked half asleep was a top-tier hacker. So, what was the outcome? I asked. I've made rough estimates for both of you. Luja ordered another plate of beef. Xiao Xiaoan, you did exceptionally well this time. Your approach to the last major question in the science comprehensive exam was basically correct. Just a few minor errors in the calculation steps. The total score is roughly between 695 and 700. Xiaoan's eyes lit up instantly. She covered her mouth in excitement, her eyes glistening with tears. With this score, getting into one of the top 10 universities in the country is a sure thing. As for you, class monitor, Lua looked at me. I can't really judge your essay, but based on your performance on all the previous questions, out of a total of 750, you should be able to score at least 710. My hand holding the teacup hesitated slightly. 710 points. With this score, I can choose between Tsinghua and Ping University at my leisure. What about you? I asked him. Me. Luja smiled, revealing his two little K. 9 teeth, just a little bit taller than you. I suppose he didn't mention the exact score, but his utterly unruffled demeanor spoke louder than any number ever could. I smiled from the bottom of my heart. Cheers to our victory. We raised our glasses filled with sour plum soup and gently clinked them together. A crisp sound like a triumphant anthem. We ate while talking about college in the future, chatting about light and pleasant topics. No one ever brought up those classmates or those events again. It's as if they have vanished completely from our world. Halfway through the meal, Luja's phone rang. He picked it up, glanced at it, frowned, and hung up immediately. But soon the phone rang again. He answered impatiently and switched to speakerphone. Hello. From the other end of the line came the weary, raspy voice of their homeroom teacher. Old Luja. It's me. Teacher Lu. What is it? Lua's tone was icy. So the class is planning to hold a thank you dinner for our teachers next Saturday. No. Lua cut him off sharply. Come on. We've been classmates for so long. Soon we'll all be going our separate ways. This is our last get-together. Lu is still earnestly trying to persuade him. Teacher, I have a question for you, Luja said suddenly. Huh? What did you say? If, and I mean if this time, the only ones trapped in the suburbs were me, Zhaoan, and Xiaoan. The other 47 individuals all successfully took the exam. Will you still be organizing this farewell dinner for the teacher? On the other end of the line, there was a long, deathly silence. Luja let out a sneer. You see, you already know the answer yourself. So leave us alone. With that, he hung up the phone and casually added Lu's number to his blacklist. The hot pot restaurant was still bustling, but our table fell silent. I silently placed a piece of shrimp paste, her favorite, into Zion's bowl. Go ahead and eat. A full stomach gives you the strength to walk the road ahead. Yes, our journey has only just begun, but their road has already come to an end. 14. The days after the college entrance exam are like a world of ice and fire for me. Xiao Zion and Lua. It was an unprecedented sense of relaxation and comfort. We threw away all our textbooks and exam papers. During the day, Luja took us to his usual internet cafe and taught us how to play games. That evening, John took us to the library to browse all sorts of novels and light reading. We were like free fish, freed from our bonds, swimming with abandon in the ocean of liberty. As for the rest of the class, every day of waiting for the scores feels like a slow, torturous execution. I never logged into that so-called class group again. But Lua treated the group messages like his daily dose of entertainment. The day the official answer key was released, the group went completely wild. The first to erupt was Wang Ha's mother. She sent a long voice message in the group chat. Her voice, so sharp it felt like it was piercing the eardrums. 62 in math, 98 in science. Look at this. This is my son's score. He's a sports specialty student. His academic performance is way better than this. It's over. It's completely over. I won't even make the first-tier university cutoff. Her scream was like a bomb. It instantly ignited the anger and despair of all parents. Our family isn't much better. I barely passed math. Looks like I'm stuck going to a junior college now. It's all Wenxian's fault. It's her. She's ruined our child's entire life. The spearhead in an instant was precisely directed at the goddess they had once elevated to a pedestal at Wenxian's mom. Come out. Give us an explanation. Your daughter's off to enjoy life abroad. What about our kids? You must take responsibility. You must compensate us for our losses. Public outrage is running high. Those once fawning faces now look more hideous than demons. When Wenxin's mother initially tried to take control of the situation, she sent a huge red packet with the note. The kids didn't do well on their exams. And I'm feeling sad, too. Take this money and buy something nice for your kids. However, this red packet became the last straw that broke the camel's back. Who wants your filthy money? Do you really think money can buy back my son's future? Hypocrisy. Disgusting. Wang's mother was the first to speak up, her words sharp and impassioned. Listen here, Wenxian's mother. This isn't over. I'll see you in court. Wenxian's mother had finally been pushed too far. She abandoned all pretense of her usual elegant high society demeanor. Mrs. Wang, you need to get your facts straight. You were the ones who came baiting to book my brother's hotel in the first place. My daughter was just trying to help out of the goodness of her heart. Not only are you ungrateful, but now you're turning around and blaming her. Your child failed the college entrance exam because of their own lack of skill and poor mindset. What does that have to do with our Wenxin? A full-blown brawl had officially begun. The once unbreakable alliance of interests crumbled instantly in the face of harsh reality. Parents split into factions, attacking and insulting each other in the group chat. Spill the tea, spill the beans. The scene was utter chaos, and the language used was so foul it was downright appalling. Lua looked on murmuring in amazement. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. More dramatic than any palace intrigue drama I've ever seen. Amidst the chaos, Mr. Le, the homeroom teacher, sent his final message in that role. It was a lengthy letter of apology. In the letter, he took full responsibility upon himself. He said it was his failure to provide proper guidance. He admitted to turning a blind eye to the toxic culture in the classroom. He had betrayed the trust of all the parents and students. At the end of the letter, he announced that he had submitted his resignation to the school. After the message was sent, the group fell into an eerie silence for a few seconds. Then came an even fiercer wave of public condemnation directed at old Lu. No one felt sorry for him. They simply believed his resignation was an act of fleeing from justice. I stared at the phone screen filled with nothing but ugliness and depravity in my heart. There was not a shred of satisfaction. I only felt a profound sense of sorrow. That's human nature for you. People chase gain and avoid loss, twisting right and wrong in the face of a massive loss of profit. All warmth and decency prove fragile and easily shattered. Xiao Xiaoan had seen enough. Don't look anymore, she whispered. Let's go for a walk. I nodded and turned off my phone. We walked along the street at dusk. The afterglow of the setting sun stretched our shadows long. So long. Xiao ran. Xiao Xiaoan suddenly asked me, "Do you hate them?" I've been thinking about it for a long time. And then he shook his head. I don't hate you anymore. Why? Because it's not worth it. Yes, not worth it to waste even a fraction of my emotions on a group of people who are about to completely disappear from my life. None of it is worth it. Before me lies the sea of stars. As for them, they deserve to rot in the quagmire of the past. 15. The day the scores came out, the weather was exceptionally clear. Yet, the atmosphere in my home was even more tense than on the day of the college entrance exam. My mom got up at the crack of dawn and made me an absolutely extravagant breakfast. 2 fried eggs and 1 yo, symbolizing a perfect score. My father was restless, pacing back and forth in the living room every so often. I'd glance at the wall clock. Ran. Are you sure about this? He asked cautiously. I smiled, finishing the last sip of soy milk in my bowl. Don't worry, Dad. This time, we've got it in the bag. At 10 a.m. the score-checking portal officially opens. Sure enough, the website crashed instantly due to the overwhelming number of visitors on the screen. Only a spinning chrysanthemum icon remains. My dad was even more anxious than I was, constantly refreshing the page. My mother clasped her hands together, murmuring prayers under her breath to some unknown deity. I leaned back on the sofa, took out my phone, and sent a message to Lua. The site's down. He replied instantly. No surprise there. I've already logged in through the back. And your score is out. My heart in that moment skipped a beat against my will. What is it? 715 points. Chinese 132. Math 148. English 145. Science composite 290. A string of clear numbers appeared on my phone screen. I looked at that total score of 715 and let out a long, deep sigh of relief. It's 5 points higher than I estimated. Maya's message popped up. 2. Apparently, the two of them were chatting. 2. Xiao Xiaoan's 698 points, replied Luja. A Xiao Xiaoan sent a string of excited screaming emojis. What about you, Mr. Top Scholar? I tease. There was silence on the other end for a few seconds. Then Lua sent a screenshot. That's his grave inquiry page name. Luja total score 742 below. There is another line of text in red. Bold font. Congratulations. You are the top scorer in the science stream of this year's college entrance examination in our city. Zhang Xiaoan and I both sent a string of ellipses in the group chat. The result, though expected, but seeing it with my own eyes was still utterly breathtaking. 742 points. A score that's almost godlike. Right at that moment, my dad suddenly let out a shout. It's out. Ran. It's out. I looked up and saw at last my grades displayed on the computer screen. 715 points. My father stared at that number for a good 10 seconds or more. And then he suddenly turned his head, looked at my mom, and his eyes instantly turned red. Sweetheart, our daughter scored 715. My mom rushed over too, staring at the screen, and bursting into tears of joy. The two of them clung tightly to each other, laughing and crying all at once, like two children. I looked at them, and my eyes grew warm. 12 years of hardship, 12 years of dedication. At this moment, the perfect reward finally arrived. My phone started ringing off the hook right away. Relatives, friends, and my parents' colleagues, everyone called to offer their congratulations. My phone was also flooded with countless congratulatory messages. Among them, one was from an unfamiliar number. Jiu Hei. This is the Dean of Studies from No 7 High School. First of all, congratulations on your outstanding results. Also, the city's television station would like to do a special interview with this year's top scorer and high-achieving students. I was wondering if you and Lua would be interested in participating in a TV interview. I was taken aback for a moment. Right after that, Luja's message came through monitor. The TV station contacted me. They asked if I wanted to bring my 2 partners in misery on the show. What do you think? I didn't have a chance to reply yet. He sent another screenshot. It was from the class group chat that had been quiet for days. Someone had posted a statistical table of the whole class's grades. The data on that table was shocking. There were 50 students in the class apart from the 3 of us. Wenzin scored 583 points under normal circumstances. That would be considered a pretty good score. But at this moment it felt utterly ironic. Even worse off for WHA and his group. Most people's total scores hover between 3 and 400 points. Even the second-tier university admission line seems out of reach. That form was like a death sentence. It was the final total. An utter defeat of Class 3. Grade 12. Once a top-tier class beneath the table. There was a deathly silence. No one spoke. All the arguments and insults lose their meaning in the face of cold, harsh scores. I looked at the form, then back at the message had sent going on TV. The corner of my mouth slowly curved into a smile. I typed 2 words and sent them. Let's go. Why wouldn't we? This grand drama has reached its climax as the protagonists. How could we possibly miss the final curtain call 16? The TV studio was colder than I had imagined. The air conditioning was cranked up to the max overhead. A dense cluster of spotlights stared down like the eyes of monsters. Both Xiaoan and I felt a bit awkward. This is the first time in our lives that we've been in front of a camera. Only Lua still looked like he hadn't fully woken up. He even dozed off twice while putting on his makeup. The makeup artist's sister lifted him with a mix of exasperation and overflowing maternal affection. This child has such flawless skin. Is this how all top scholars carry themselves? With such disregard for propriety. A woman in a sharp suit who looked like a director walked over. She held a script in her hand, wearing a professional smile. Are you 3 students ready? I am Wang Bin, the host for this exclusive interview. She spoke rapidly, yet her enunciation was clear. The interview is about to begin. Everyone relax. Just treat it like a casual chat. Especially you, Lu, she said, turning to Luja as the main character. You'll get more screen time. Luja yawned and nodded. Got it. We were led to the center of a studio. 3-way bar stools across the way. 3 dark, unblinking cameras stared back. Wang Bing sat across from us, smiling warmly. 3, 2, 1, action. A crew member wearing a headset made a signal. The spotlight flashed on instantly. My eyes instinctively squinted. It felt as if the whole world had shrunk down to just the 4 of us. Hello, dear viewers. Welcome to this episode of Top Scholar Face to Face. Wang Bing's voice, amplified by the microphone, took on a particularly resonant quality today. We are truly honored to welcome this year's citywide science stream Gao top scorer Luja. The camera focused on Luja. He waved lazily at the camera. Hello, everyone. I am Luya, and his 2 classmates, and Xiao Xiaoan, who also achieved outstanding results. The camera panned across me, and Xiao Xiaoan. I gave a polite nod towards the camera. Xiao Xiaoan looking a bit nervous. Pursed her lips. Classmate Lu 742 points. That's a truly astonishing score. Wang Bing's eyes sparkled with excitement. Could you share your study secrets with us? This is the most routine and most boring question. I thought Luja would say a few polite words, but he didn't. He thought for a moment, then answered seriously. The secret is to sleep in class. The studio was silent. Even Wang Bing's professional smile froze for a second. Asleep? Yes, Luja said with a sincere expression. Getting enough sleep is more important than any tutoring class. A well-rested mind is a sharp mind. Take me, for example. The night before the college entrance exam, I got a full 10 hours of sleep. I even dozed off for 20 minutes during the science section. Wang Bing was struggling to maintain a neutral expression. She let out a couple of dry, forced laughs. Huh, you're quite the comedian, Lu. So, besides sleeping, is there anything else? Like an error correction notebook or something? Oh, that Luja said with a look of utter disdain. Too much trouble. If you got a question wrong, why not just understand it on the spot instead of copying it again? A waste of time, a waste of ink, and a waste of paper. not environmentally friendly. Yongbing sitting beside them. I almost couldn't hold back my laughter. This guy is here to cause trouble. Isn't he, Bing? Took a deep breath, clearly giving up on extracting any positive and uplifting study methods from Luj's mouth. She turned her sights on us. Zoe Xiao Ziawen as classmates of the top scorer. Do you often feel a lot of pressure? I shook my head. No pressure. Lu keeps a low profile and spends most of his time sleeping. We're just each studying at our own pace. So, about this year's college entrance exam. I heard there was a bit of an incident in your class. Wangbing finally asked the most pointed question, the one we'd all been hoping she would ask. Her eyes held a look of curiosity and gossip. We are aware that our city was hit by a once-in-a-century torrential downpour during the 2 days of the national college entrance exams. Many examinees were affected, yet the three of you managed to complete the exams smoothly and achieve such outstanding results. Is there a special story behind this? It's here. I thought to myself, the final judgment has arrived. I didn't answer right away. I glanced at Jao Xiaoan and Luja beside me. They all gave me an encouraging look. I turned my head and looked back at the camera, looking toward the familiar yet unfamiliar faces gathered before the television, perhaps watching. I spoke calmly, my voice quiet, but clear enough for everyone to hear. Actually, there's nothing special about the story. There is but one choice. The college entrance exam tests more than just textbook knowledge. It's more like a microcosm of life. At every critical juncture, you are faced with countless choices. Some choices may seem tempting, full of shortcuts. Some choices may seem clumsy at first, requiring more effort and persistence from you. The three of us simply follow the most fundamental values in our hearts when faced with the same choice before the college entrance exam. That means staying grounded and taking responsibility for yourself. We chose the hotel closest to the exam venue because it minimizes all potential uncertainties. We choose to trust common sense and weather forecasts rather than rely on luck. We choose to trust our own judgment rather than being swayed by outside voices. So, here we are today. It's not because we're smarter than others, nor is it because we're luckier, simply because we made the choice we believe to be right, and we put in the effort we should have, and received the rewards we deserved for our choices. I'm done speaking. The studio remained completely silent. Wangbing looked at me, his eyes filled with admiration and awe. She didn't seem to expect that an 18-year-old girl could say something like that. Calm, restrained, yet brimming with power. I'm not blaming anyone. I am not accusing anyone of anything. I was merely stating the simplest yet most brutal truth. Life is the sum total of a continuous series of choices, and you must bear the consequences of every single choice you make. 17. That interview program aired during prime time that very evening, and it will be replayed repeatedly over the next 3 days. Luja's sleeping method became the talk of the town. Countless parents staring at their children who stay up late, studying, pose the ultimate existential questions. Look at the top scholar. Everyone says he gets plenty of sleep. My segment on choice was edited by the City Education Channel into a standalone short video titled The Off-Screen Test of a Top Scorer. The short video quickly went viral across major online platforms. The number of views soared past 1 million overnight. The comment section below is full of all kinds of opinions. This young lady is no ordinary girl. She speaks with such finesse, flawless, and precise. Stay grounded and take responsibility for yourself. That's so well said. Now that's what a true top student looks like. I think I heard something about their class. Apparently the whole class got scammed by a rich, second-generation campus beauty. Spill the tea. I've got my popcorn ready. Head to the 20th High School BBS. This year's blockbuster. More thrilling than any TV drama. Public opinion has swung decisively in our favor. The three of us became the very embodiment of rationality, steadiness, and foresight. Meanwhile, the rest of Class 3, Grade 12 were nailed to the pillar of shame, branded as foolish, short-sighted, and greedy for petty gains. Luj immediately forwarded the link to that short video to the class group chat and mentioned all members. Then he sent a message learned from this. It was a kind of condescending, merciless mockery delivered with the smug superiority of a top scholar. The class group, quiet for days, suddenly exploded again. But this time, it was no longer about attacking each other, but rather a silence so profound it felt like death. No one dared to speak. That link landed like a resounding slap across everyone's face. The sting was sharp and humiliating. It finally dawned on them how utterly ridiculous and foolish their past actions must have appeared to any outside observer. They became the laughingstock of the entire city. After what felt like an eternity, there was finally some movement in the group chat. When Zen has left the group, immediately after Weo has left the group, Li Chin has left the group chat one after another. Those once arrogant names quietly vanished from the group member list like a group of defeated deserters. In the end, only the three of us remained in the group. And then there's one person who never changed their group nickname from start to finish. Mr. Liu, the homeroom teacher. Lua glanced at the empty group chat and whistled. That's so lame, just running off like that. I thought they would put on a few more shows. Zhaoan lifted her phone and spoke softly. I heard when Xin's offer to study abroad has been cancelled. Really? Luja's interest was piqued. One of her classmates mentioned it that school places a high value on students' character, and our interview video was translated into English and sent to the school's official email. Due to the severe negative social repercussions, the university initiated an investigation and subsequently revoked her admission. I sipped my yogurt, saying nothing. This outcome was right in line with my expectations. In the internet age, there are no secrets. If you want to stand in the spotlight and enjoy the flowers and applause, you must be prepared for that same spotlight to illuminate all your flaws and ugliness. When XIN clearly was not prepared for this. She thought money and family background could solve everything. But she forgot that there are some things in this world that money simply cannot bite. For example, reputation. Take the human heart. For instance, my phone rang again. It was an unknown number with a local area code. I answered it. From the other end of the line came a woman's voice. A sharp hysterical scream. Zoran, it's you. This is all your fault. She's Winshin's mom. You've ruined my daughter. You've ruined her entire life. I won't let you off, even if I have to ruin myself. I'll make you pay. I listened quietly when she finally ran out of steam and was breathing heavily. I slowly began to speak, uttering only a single sentence. Auntie, I still haven't deleted that recording from the other day. The line went silent instantly. All that remained was the heavy, ragged sound of breath. Choked with anger and fear, I didn't give her another chance to speak. I simply hung up the phone, and I blocked that number of the price. You have already paid the most terrible price, and I don't even have the slightest interest in looking at you outside the window. The sunlight is just right. I see a few children blowing bubbles in the little garden downstairs. The colorful bubbles rise, swirl in the sunlight, and then gently pop. It's just like a brief, splendid dream. 18. The day to submit our college applications arrived before we knew it. Zio Xiaoan Leja and I arranged to meet at our usual library. Warm sunlight streamed, and through the huge floor, toe-ceiling window, the air was filled with the scent of books and ink. Each of us had a laptop, logged into the college application system. Have you decided where you're going? I asked Zio Xiao, and adjusted her glasses, and said, a little embarrassed, I want to go to Shanghai. I've looked into it. Fudan's clinical medicine program is the best in the country. I want to be a doctor. This was the first time I'd heard her talk about her dream. I looked at her genuinely happy for her. Great. Being a doctor is a noble profession. And you? Class president? Lua asked me. I thought about it. I want to go to Beijing. Tsinghua University School of Economics and Management. I'm quite interested in finance. Vulgar. Lua remarked succinctly. And what about you? Top scholar? I retorted. Which prestigious school are you heading to continue your grand career of sleeping? He smiled mysteriously. A place none of you would ever expect. He turned the laptop toward us. On the screen were the college preferences he had already submitted. First choice boldly written University of Science and Technology of China, School of Yen Scholars, Quantum Information major. Both Zhaoan and I were stunned. Wusedeje in Hia. Why? Zian asked, puzzled with your scores. You could get into any top program at Tsinghua or Peking University. Luja stretched and leaned back in his chair. Tsinghua and Peking University, they're just too boring. A group of refined, self-interested individuals scrambling to climb the social ladder. Boring. USDC is different. For the first time, a light of passion sparkled in his eyes. There you'll find a group of true geniuses and true madmen. They care neither for fame and fortune nor for worldly matters. All they care about is what lies at the edge of the universe. I'd like to go take a look. I looked at him, unable to speak for a long time. It suddenly dawned on me. Maya Xiaoan and him, in the end, we were just not the same kind of people. Zhou Ziawen and I studied hard to get into a prestigious university. It's about fitting into this world more seamlessly. And Luja, he aimed to create a new world entirely his own. We are extraordinary, ordinary people. But he was the real genius. All right, I said with a laugh. I wish you an early glimpse of the edge of the universe. And so we remained on that quiet afternoon. Typed the few words that would decide the next 4 years of our lives. And possibly the rest of our lives. Beijing, Shanghai, Huff. 3 cities, 3 distinct futures. We are about to go our separate ways. But we all know that the friendship between us will not change. Because of distance. Half a month later, I received my acceptance letter. A purple envelope from Tsinghua University, above in the principal's own handwriting where the words Tsinghua will be your lifelong pride. My parents held that acceptance letter, turning it over and over in their hands. The smiles on their faces were brighter than the summer sun. They decided to throw a grand celebration banquet for my university admission. Invite all the relatives and friends. I didn't refuse. I know this isn't just my honor. It's also the proudest medal they've earned. After a lifetime of hard work, the day before the graduation banquet, I got a call from old Lu. His voice sounded much older. Zhao Ran. Congratulations. Thank you, teacher. I replied politely. Are you free? Tomorrow, he asked hesitantly. The class wants to organize another teacher appreciation banquet. It's kind of a farewell to everyone. I fell silent. Teacher, I said calmly. I don't think that's necessary anymore. What needed to be said goodbye to has long since been said goodbye, and we were going to embrace a new beginning. I hung up the phone without waiting for his reply. I don't want to have anything to do with the past anymore. The following day, my college celebration banquet was held at the finest hotel in the city. The house was filled with distinguished guests, creating a lively and bustling atmosphere. I stood on stage wearing the new dress my mom bought for me, looking out at my family and friends in the audience, applauding and beaming with pride for me. My heart is filled with gratitude. Just then, an unexpected figure appeared at the hotel entrance. It's Wingha. He came alone wearing a faded t-shirt. He looked noticeably thinner and much more tanned. He didn't come in, just stood at the doorway, watching me from a distance. His gaze was complex. Our eyes met in the air for a second. He bowed to me awkwardly. Then he turned and vanished into the crowd. I was taken aback for a moment, then smiled with a sense of relief. It seems the school of life has already begun teaching its first lesson to some. And my university, my new life, is also about to officially kick off. That's great story. 2. Before the company's IPO, an intern suggested serving milk tea to our foreign guests. My boyfriend remarked, "That's quite creative. Don't always shoot down fresh ideas from newcomers. Is this really how interns get treated these days?" The shareholders chimed in. "Milk tea is so down to earth. Our investors aren't royalty. You know, solid proof of workplace manipulation. That VP is seriously messed up." I didn't say a word, but quietly swapped it for black tea and a fruit platter before the meeting started. I'm publicly calling out Elaine. She's utterly unfit to be a female executive. The project succeeded, yet she went live online, tearfully accusing me of bullying her and stealing the credit. Sounds like sour grapes to me. My boyfriend stayed silent. Bullet comments flooded with ridicule, and trending searches exploded. Elaine, get out of the workplace. I had just finished an overtime meeting that evening when I opened Weibo and saw myself trending at number 1. I died from a bucket of gasoline. My mother passed away from a heart attack, and my father was hit by a car with no one daring to help. It was my birthday that day. Given a second chance at life, I simply nodded. All right, don't forget to add extra sugar. I opened my moments, and a new post popped up. Then I turned around, switched jobs, and took all the investments with me. Adrian updated his status. May every hardworking intern be spared from being trampled underfoot with malice. I don't think we need to be overly formal with this foreign delegation. The accompanying image showed a cup of bubble tea, and Serena's tear-swollen eyes. Serena spoke softly, standing before the conference table with a tablet in hand. Dressed in white, her gaze was clear and direct. I texted back, "What are you trying to say?" Trendy local brands like bubble tea shops strike the right balance. They're relaxed yet distinctive, perfectly capturing our company's youthful energy. He replied with, "Figure it out yourself." As she spoke, she clicked through the slideshow images of takeout. Bubble tea flashed across the screen paired with cupcakes and cookies, looking like a promotional ad for office afternoon tea. Another voice message came through. "I see," and devoid of emotion. I stared at the screen, my face a mask of neutrality, but beneath the table, my fingertips slowly curled into a tight fist. "Elaine, I don't think this is working out between us. I had attended this very meeting in my previous life." I rushed to his office like a mad woman, desperate to ask him what did I do wrong. When she mentioned the bubble tea, I immediately objected, pointing out that several senior executives had diabetes or dairy allergies, making it unsuitable. Her eyes instantly welled up with tears. "Does Miss Elaine not like me very much?" He sat at his desk expressionless. "The project is already a success. Serena is well prepared. The company now needs a figurehead executive, not someone with all these emotions." My boyfriend Adrian shot me a cold look and said, "Elaine, don't be so petty. A symbol." I gritted my teeth. "Are you saying my 5 years of building this company with you just turned me into a symbol?" After the meeting, she went live in tears, accusing me of throwing my weight around and stealing her proposal. That video racked up over 1 million likes. "Can you calm down?" He snapped impatiently. "Look at yourself. You're acting like a shrew." Later, when the company's project succeeded, I was the one who actually made it happen. But she stole all the spotlight. That day, I got fired when they literally threw the termination letter in my face. And I ended up being labeled as the toxic female exec who stifles creativity. I became the poster child for workplace toxicity in the news, with media outlets spreading lies about my messy personal life, exploiting subordinates, and being a menopausal control freak. Then came Adrian's breakup, the company's purge, the overwhelming cyberbullying, and that kind of gasoline. Someone went to my hometown, filmed a vlog at my mother's hospital, and said, "What kind of decent person could come from a family like this?" I died disfigured beyond recognition in the flames. My father tried to stop them but couldn't, and he was so enraged that he suffered a cerebral hemorrhage and collapsed at the doorstep. My father collapsed on the spot while collecting my remains and died from a brain stem hemorrhage. The day I was doused with gasoline was the 27th of the 12th lunar month, right before the new year. My mother suffered a sudden heart attack upon reading that line on the cremation certificate and was found lifeless by neighbors. I was cornered at the entrance of an old warehouse where a crowd called me a capitalist lackey and an accomplice to the oppression that drives young people to their deaths. They pinned me to the ground and poured half a bucket of gasoline on me. And there she was, Serena, taking everything I had, striding up to the podium in her custom haute couture, saying, "Thank you, Miss Elaine, for teaching me how to navigate the workplace. Are you the one who killed Serena? I was reborn. How dare you still show your face?" Reborn right into this very meeting where she opened her mouth again, suggesting we serve milk tea to the foreign guests. I struggled and screamed, "You're all insane. She's not dead. She's playing you." I stared at the corner of her mouth. No one believed it. That faint elusive smile burned it all. She thought I would step in to stop her, just like I did in our previous life. Someone lit the fire, but this time I didn't bite as the flames consumed me. The only thing I remembered was wearing that new beige trench coat I bought. "I think it's great." I cut in with a smile, interrupting her report. "Bubble tea is youthful, trendy, and creative. Serena put a lot of thought into this." My mother had scrimped and saved to buy it for my birthday. She froze a second before it got charred. My phone screen lit up. An eerie silence fell over the meeting room. That was the last voice message my dad sent. I continued. When hosting leadership, we should naturally showcase our unique style. Sweetheart, Dad's here to pick you up. Adrian glanced at me, a slight upturn at the corner of his mouth, as if he'd finally witnessed me acting sensibly. But he never made it in time since Miss Elaine put it that way. Well, go with your proposal, he said. He was killed instantly when a car running a red light struck him on his way over. Everyone nodded in agreement, chiming in with their approval of my mother upon hearing news of my death. Locked herself in her room that very night, slit her wrists, and lay down in the bathtub, never to wake again. The younger generation's ideas are truly impressive. On the day of the cremation, no one dared to claim my body. Let's not always stick to those traditional English afternoon tea routines. The body was sent to the funeral home, and 3 days later, it was collectively transported for cremation by the Civil Affairs Bureau. Right. Who doesn't love bubble tea? They said. Unclaimed bodies don't need names. I scanned the faces of these old friends seated around the conference table. The same people who'd thrown me to the wolves in our previous venture, all while claiming it was for the company's good. Serena's tearful live stream went viral with millions of views, making her the poster child for victims. This time, I'll let you stew in your own juice. Adrian took over the company, vowing to purge the corrupt executives. I stepped out, picked up my phone, and dialed the number. The entire internet is slamming me, saying I deserve to die, and had it coming. Mr. Marcus, I said softly, that offer you made earlier, the generous salary, equity stake, and decision-making authority to poach me, does it still stand? My death was utterly meaningless. There was a brief pause on the other end of the line, followed by a hearty laugh. Absolutely. Elaine, if you're ready to make the move, I'll welcome you with open arms anytime, now that I've been reborn. And returned. I hear her say those words once more. Good. Let's discuss the terms of our collaboration. Then, I suggest serving milk tea to the foreign guests. I looked at her, smiled, and said, Sounds good. Let's do it that way. In her previous life, Serena also stood at the center of the conference room, dressed in a white dress with her hair in a ponytail. She held a tablet and delivered a whole set of bubble tea marketing theories, her smile innocent and her voice gentle. Miss Elaine, are you sure you don't want to attend such an important briefing? I couldn't help but remind her. The people we're hosting are executives from domestic and international corporations, not Billy content creators. My secretary, Ma, stopped me, her arms laden with a thick stack of documents. She paused, pursed her lips slightly, and lowered her voice a little. Does Miss Elaine not like me very much? I stood calmly in my black trench coat and replied, Didn't Serena say she wanted to lead a formal reception? Let this be her practice run. Adrian sat beside her and retorted coldly, Are you targeting her? Em gave me a complicated look and lowered her voice. Mr. Adrian has been promoting her way too obviously. People are whispering that you might be sidelined. I was taken aback. I smirked. Sidelining me. He'd better check if he's got what it takes first. He said, You're just jealous. Because she's young, articulate, and well-liked. I pushed the door open and walked into the conference room. The conference room fell silent as other shareholders chimed in one after another. What's wrong with young people having creative ideas? We older generations simply don't understand their world. Serena was already standing in the center, dressed in a light pink professional outfit, holding a notebook. She spoke softly. This is a crucial opportunity for us to connect with the group's top executives. I've outlined the specific hospitality plan. Please review it. Everyone. In that moment, it all clicked. The first slide of the PPT features a prominent headline. Even when you're right, if you don't look delicate and helpless or know how to play the victim, no one will take your side. Creative reception concepts inspired begenzet. But she would. Below it, an eye-catching large bubble tea logo graphic. That night, she went live. I planned to set up a self-service bubble tea station during the reception break, offering flavors like jasmine green tea, cheese pichilong, and full-cup ruby grapefruit with customizable sweetness levels. For snacks, We'll serve molten lava cakes and candied orange peel to showcase our team's vibrant energy titled. She glanced back at me as she spoke with a tone that hovered between showing off and testing the waters. Hashtag crying from workplace bullying. Sitting in the back row, I sipped warm water unhurriedly while flipping through documents. Sitting in her rented apartment with half-soaked clothes and red-rimmed eyes, she deliberately chose a dim, shabby backdrop through tears. She said, "A senior executive at Group D just entered stage 3 diabetes. Do you plan to label the sugar content on your milk tea?" I suggested serving bubble tea to foreign delegates, and the deputy CEO publicly called me an idiot. Why can't yin professionals have creative ideas? I remarked flatly without looking up. The live stream chat just exploded. Serena paused for a moment, then immediately replied, "We could just order sugar-free versions. Sugar-free milk tea with sweetened base powder. Whipped sweet cream foam. Are you really going to explain each ingredient to them one by one?" The Project Liaison, is the Singapore branch. Their culture leans Western. Do you really think they'd appreciate your fruit syrup dessert? I'll make sure to emphasize that in the report, she said stiffly. Besides, not every foreign guest declines milk tea. We could always prepare 2 options. Serena's preparations are quite thorough already. There's no need to constantly undermine a newcomer. Adrian cut me off, his tone clearly biased in her favor. I gave a faint smile and glanced up at him. "So, what does Miss Elaine think?" Serena bit her lip, looking at me with pleading eyes. I looked at her and slowly smiled. "My opinion is," I glanced around the room, speaking gently, "the proposal is excellent and very innovative. If no one has any objections, let's proceed," as she suggested. An inexplicable sense of relief filled the conference room. Someone murmured, "Miss Elaine has mellowed out quite a bit." True, she's not as domineering as before. Young people still deserve opportunities. I just have no interest in cleaning up your messes. After the meeting, I walked into my office with the documents and locked the door. My phone had already received a text message from Marcus. "Materials received. We will conduct an internal review of the cooperation framework with project initiation expected as early as next week." I sent him a briefing PPT signed not as Elaine but under the newly registered Itchy Planning Studio. The ownership structure of the studio has just undergone a covert-controlling stake change on the surface, unconnected, but in reality, I hold all the cards. Serena was still in the conference room coordinating the self-fest served bubble tea, with admin smiling like a pure-hearted innocent. That evening Adrian sent a Wechathat message. "Serena is still too naive and gets nervous easily. As her senior, you should guide her appropriately." I couldn't help but laugh when I read that he actually wants me to teach Serena. Is he trying to get her killed faster? I replied with a simple okay. Then I immediately compiled her livestream accounts, past history, and records of private gigs and commercial performances into an anonymous report, which I sent to the Corporate Disciplinary Committee's email. In my previous life, her livestream exposed me, making me the target of widespread online condemnation. This time, I'll make sure she experiences what it's like to face a massive online backlash. Standing outside the conference room, I pulled out my phone and dialed Marcus' number. "Hello, Miss Elaine." His laughter carried a tone of sober self-discipline. Leaning against the window, I murmured, "Just giving you a heads up. I'm bringing the project over, and I'm going to wipe the floor with the other side. Don't you worry." Marcus said, "You just handle the cleanup. I'll take care of the fire." The day of the project meeting was overcast. When 3 senior executives from Group D arrived at RC Group's headquarters in a private car, the receptionist could sense their grim expressions, even as she greeted them with an umbrella. It wasn't personal. They were all around 50, constantly managing their sugar intake, watching their fat consumption, and guarding against allergies. I'm not at all sold on this whole youth-oriented bubble tea marketing strategy. In front of the meeting room, Serena, wearing a bright yellow dress, was crouched on the floor, arranging the newly set-up bubble tea station. "I chose the low-sugar versions for all the bubble teas," she said, turning to the admin staff. "But the colors have to be photogenic. We must include strawberry milk, green tea, cheese, grapefruit, and the like. The toppings need to be plentiful, too, to make the pictures pop." After half an hour of meticulous arranging, the bubble teas and pettifs were finally lined up like a proper afternoon tea display. She clapped her hands and turned to Adrian with a beaming smile. "Mr. Adrian, would you like to add anything else?" Adrian glanced over and nodded. "Looks good." Several executives nearby exchanged glances, their faces betraying a hint of hesitation about these refreshments. Someone murmured under their breath, "The boss has a sensitive stomach. Aren't these too sweet?" "No gueris." She said she picked the low-sugar option. "Hey, with all these reporters around, let's not embarrass the newcomers. Right on schedule." The D Group executives entered the room before they could even take their seats. Serena approached with a smile. "Welcome. Welcome. We've prepared some creative snacks that are popular with the younger crowd here. Hope you'll enjoy them." The three exchanged glances, and without a word raised their cups out of politeness. After one sip, their expressions shifted slightly. Sitting in the middle, Mr. Chong, a classic case of stage 3 diabetes, suddenly flushed, his stomach cramping. He gripped the table with one hand and pressed the other against his abdomen. "Who prepared the stuff?" "This is the admin staff, Rose. Why is this so cloyingly sweet? Did you mix in condensed milk?" The female assistant quickly handed him a tissue, quietly urging him to calm down. The investor nearby wiped his mouth with a frown. "Are you actually serious? We're here to discuss funding, not to join your company's afternoon tea social." Mr. Ching immediately blocked the QR code under the milk tea. "My kids aren't ordering from this place ever again." Absolutely dreadful. The atmosphere grew tense. Serena's face went pale instantly. She explained nervously, This is the low-sugar version. We tested all the ingredients beforehand. Low sugar. And you made people drink this." An investor glared at her. "Are you trying to land us all in the hospital?" The atmosphere turned palpably icy. Adrian stood up to smooth things over. "Please don't be upset, everyone. This is Serena's first time leading a reception. She may be a bit inexperienced. Is she your fiancé or your assistant?" Director Jean, seated at the far right, glared coldly at him. "I don't care who she is. Today is about a crucial partnership for the group. Treating investors like this. Are you making a mockery of us?" The air froze. The media happened to capture the moment, with the sound of camera shutters going off one after another. Several shareholders nearby looked embarrassed, and one of them gritted his teeth and said, "Take the milk tea away. Replace it." Quickly switched to the plan I used last time. Before he could finish, Mr. Ching stood up, picked up his folder, and said, "No need to change it. I won't look at the project for now. This is your attitude, and I'm not interested." The other two executives also stood up. "If your leadership doesn't even care, then there's no point in continuing this discussion. We're not here for bubble tea." With those words, the three of them immediately turned and walked out the moment the door closed. The conference room fell into complete silence. The journalists hesitated whether to keep filming, while several pale-faced shareholders rushed out the door after him, pleading, "Mr. Chong, please don't leave. She wasn't really leading the project. We misunderstood." Serena, still standing in place, tugged nervously at Adrienne's sleeve with trembling fingers, and whispered, "I didn't mean to. I checked their health records. I just wanted to innovate." "Really?" Adrian didn't look at her, his gaze fixed coldly on the still steaming cup of milk tea. After a long silence, he spoke coldly, "What about Elaine? Wasn't she supposed to be hosting?" "She withdrew on her own. She said she wants to step down as the lead. She said she agreed to let me take over." Serena's voice trailed off, because everyone was staring at her from start to finish. She had fought for all of this herself. She snatched the position, proposed the plan herself, executed it herself, and now things have gone wrong. No one can cover for her. I tuned into the meeting live stream from my office, just in time to see the investor stand up. When Mr. Ching said, "We're not here for bubble tea," I almost burst out laughing. I opened the message from Marcus. They officially withdrawn their investment intent. I've received the relevant documents. Congratulations. First step accomplished. I replied, "It's still early. The real show is yet to come." I put on my trench coat, gathered my things, and walked out of the office. My secretary, Maya, saw me and panicked. "Miss Elaine, where are you going?" The board is about to hold an emergency meeting. I walked with a light step and spoke in a gentle tone. I'm not Messine anymore. Remember, I stepped down from leadership a long time ago. What happened today has nothing to do with me. 15 minutes later, an emergency executive meeting was urgently convened at our C group in the conference room. The shareholders looked grim. Mr. Chung's shattered boba cup lay on the desk. Coconut jelly scattered across the floor. The investors pulled out. Do you have any idea that money came from all of us taking out mortgages and betting our entire cash flow? If this isn't resolved today, I'm suing Mr. Adrian for malpractice, who authorized you to change the plan without approval. The retail investors, who had previously only cared about their dividends, were now in an uproar. I told you not to let an intern take the lead, but no one listened. Young people have creativity. One sip of that milk tea nearly sent me to the hospital. If this company goes under, Adrian, can you even afford to cover the losses? Adrian sat at the head of the table, his hands clasped together, his expression dark and brooding. Serena sat beside him, her face pale, her eyes darting nervously around the room. She tried to stand up and explain. No, that's not it. I was only assisting at first. Miss Elaine was the one in charge. What nonsense are you spouting? A vice president sneered on the spot. Elaine signed the withdrawal of lead responsibility form for the project long ago. You fought to take this on yourself, and now that you've caused a mess, you're trying to pass the buck. Serena clenched her jaw. Didn't you promise the investors would be blown away? You've certainly left them in the dark. Her entire body trembled. The same people who were just calling her Serena have now completely changed their tune. I didn't show up. My office was cleared out. My access card deactivated. Computer wiped clean. Not even a pen left behind. She can't just not come. Adrian snapped, suddenly standing up and shoving his chair back. She can't run out on us now. As a founding shareholder, she's the one who should be handling this. If she doesn't fix this, don't blame me for what happens next. Blame you for what? A calm, gentle voice came from the doorway. I walked in wearing a beige trench coat, my hair impeccably co-opted, and my expression detached. Holding a document in my hand, I deliberately placed it on the conference table. This is the equity transfer application I submitted last week. The process is complete, and I am officially stepping down from my position as a director of RC. All eyes turned to the document. A bright red notary seal was stamped in the lower right corner, sealing every word in place. From today onward, I am a free agent. I have neither the right nor the interest to be involved in anything that happens at the company. Adrian strode closer, his voice a low, explosive whisper. Elaine, do you have any idea what kind of occasion this is? You're just going to stand by and watch us go down. Isn't it only natural to watch you crash and burn? He flinched. The meeting room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Serena tried to rush out and grab me. You can't leave. You knew the risks of this project all along. Did you do this on purpose? I gave a faint smile. Exactly. She froze in surprise. I moved closer slowly, locked eyes with her, and enunciated each word deliberately. You were the one who suggested the milk tea, wrote the presentation, and arranged the reception process. You want to stand out to take my position, don't you? Well, then you'd better hold on tight. And don't you dare cry. I scanned the room, looking at each of these people. The same ones who used to pull all-nighters with me until 4 a.m. only to stab me in the back when I hit a rough patch. Now they're all scrambling to take over Serena's presentation, all while bad-mouthing my judgment. So what now? Everyone's become like startled birds. One final reminder. I said softly, I've taken the D Group investment resources with me. From now on, they'll only negotiate with me. I started my own venture, the 17 Planning Studio, and we're currently in talks with the Marcus Group about follow-up collaborations. You'd better stop trying to contact Director Chong. They've already blocked your email addresses. I turned and said as I walked away, don't thank me. I'm not kicking you when you're down. Just giving you a little push this time. Don't bother climbing back out. Silence fell behind me. Serena screamed hysterically. I hope you die a horrible death. I walked away without looking back. As I stepped out of the RC building, it began to rain. A gust of wind held past. Lifting the hem of my trench coat, I opened the passenger door and slipped into the understated black sedan. Marcus was waiting for me, dressed in a gray suit with his shirt impeccably buttoned, his slender fingers drumming lightly on the steering wheel. "You're looking well," he said casually as he started the car. "Withdrawing as planned." I nodded. "Full retreat. Freeze the marketing budget. Unlock the accounts. And take all resources with us." He paused, glancing at me, showing mercy. My eyes shifted. "Haven't even started making moves yet." He chuckled. "You know," he said slowly, "I used to think you were above scheming." Gazing at the raindrops splattering outside the window, I said flatly, "I am above it. But if someone's determined to screw up, there's nothing I can do about it." Itchy planning evolved from the small established studio I started during my university days last week. I registered it as an independent legal entity with the Marcus Group holding a 51% stake in me, personally holding 49%, giving me actual control and veto power. Itchy had quietly launched 2 hours before the RC incident occurred, just as RC's investment deal fell through. And news broke of founder Elaine's departure. Media outlets simultaneously released another piece of information. Marcus' new Brand 17 initiative, led by former RC corper Elaine, has secured strategic investment from Group D. The internet exploded instantly. Isn't that the female executive who got exposed by an intern during a live stream? I thought she was fired. No, she left on her own accord. The company's investment deal fell through. She's back in the game. And she secured funding directly from D Group. What's her background anyway? It's like she was waiting for them to crash and burn from the very beginning. Sorry, but I'm standing with her on this. Meanwhile, chaos had completely taken over the RC building. The shareholder representatives have already demanded an audit. The CFO is on leave and unreachable, and the company's accounts have been frozen. The media are all camped out at the entrance, waiting to get their shots. There are more people here for the spectacle than for actual business discussions. The board's WeChat group was flooded with messages. Meanwhile, in the conference room, Adrian shattered his third glass. "She can't just leave," he roared. "How dare she walk away so cleanly? No one dared to make a sound. We're the ones who made her." He panted. "The projects, the resources, the connections. I've been propping it all up. And now she thinks she can just kick us to the curb and start over. All because of one failed pastry." As soon as he finished speaking, Serena pushed the door open and walked in. She was soaking wet, holding her phone with red-rimmed eyes. "Mr. Adrian, online. People are saying terrible things about me online. I didn't do anything wrong. She set me up to take the fall. I had no idea we weren't supposed to serve the milk tea. You have to help me." She kept repeating, "You have to help me," as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Adrian stared at her, his eyes for the first time holding a chilling emptiness. "Didn't you say you could take her place?" Serena froze. "So tell me, are you qualified to sit in this position now?" Her voice trembled. "Are you blaming me now? Everything I did? Wasn't it all for you? You told me," she was emotionally unstable, "that she was disobedient, that she was stubborn. You said you wanted me to stay in her place. I trusted you. And now everyone's blaming me. I am blacklisted. RC is going under. And you're pointing fingers at me." She was nearly hysterical. Outside the conference room, someone had stopped to watch. Adrian rose to his feet, his voice dropping to a terrifying low. "Do you really think I have time for your hysterics right now? Look at the circus, the press, shareholders, disciplinary committee. You think I have bandwidth to deal with you?" Serena stared at him in disbelief. "Are you trying to use me as a scapegoat? Who told you to steal the credit?" He said with the casual tone of someone discussing the weather. "Shouldn't you take responsibility for what you took? Elaine didn't cry when she left. How come you can't hold on anymore? Only Serena gets it. She's not Adrienne's new flame. She's just a pawn, a temporary stand-in for me." Tossed in the trash at the first misstep, her whole body trembled, and the phone clattered to the floor. The rebuttal script she had spent 3 days preparing never got sent. The screen went black. Meanwhile, I was sitting in the conference room at 17, planning white walls, a projector, sunlight streaming across the large table, and outside the window, a crystal-clear sky. After the rain had passed, Marcus slammed the contract on the table, Group strategic investment funds have been transferred. Miss Elaine, the floor is yours. I gave a slight nod. Excellent. Now it's time for us to turn the tables. Trending number 3 on Weibo. Hashtag RC group in turn. Serena responds to PR disaster. Hashtag Bubblegirl breaks down over being forced to take the fall. Hashtag the live stream had only been up for less than 10 minutes. And the chat was already flooded with comments. Serena appeared on camera in a gray knit sweater wearing no makeup, her eyes rimmed with red, her voice choked with emotion. She said, "I know I don't have the right to fight for this opportunity, but I'm just an intern. When something goes wrong at the company, all the blame falls on me. I feel so helpless." She portrayed herself as the misguided, exploited girl in the workplace, speaking timidly through her tears. "I know Miss Elaine is very capable, and I respect her, but she shouldn't have backed out at the last minute and left me to handle the reception all alone. I'm new here, so it's natural I might lack experience. But I meant no harm. She sounds so pitiful. Was Elaine too harsh on her? Isn't it inappropriate for an RC executive to push an intern to take the fall? Is the public persona starting to crumble now? The barrage comments are beginning to waver." Serena bowed her head to wipe away tears, while off-screen, her agent was already publishing articles portraying her as a delicate, ethereal white moonlight. She knew that by steering public opinion toward Elaine, deserting at a critical moment, even if she made mistakes in hosting, she could still garner a wave of public sympathy. But what she didn't know was this time I was waiting for her to speak up. I was sitting in the itchy planning conference room when my phone buzzed with a notification. Marcus turned from his computer, his tone measured. "She's live." I gave a slight nod. Time to shut her up. I activated the press-scheduled content release. The entire internet exploded within a minute. I instantly bought out Weibo's hot search rankings, forcing my topic to the top spot. Hashtag Elaine responds to intern's betrayal by releasing all project materials. The official @V account posted 5 consecutive updates. Complete audio recording of project meeting. Screenshot of Serena volunteering to lead the project via email. Payment receipt for bubble tea purchased by Serena on reception day. Reception workflow documents submitted by her. The email correspondence with Group D explicitly stated, "Our designated contact for this visit, Serena." Every single item required an official stamp with timestamp. But the most critical failure was this. She was fully aware of the counterpart's diabetes condition, yet wrote in her reply, "At our group, we've been pioneering innovative approaches to engage younger audiences. Our hospitality arrangements will reflect this youthful creativity. You have our assurance." She was fully aware of the situation. She just thought she could disguise it with buzzwords like innovation. The Weibo comment section exploded. She spearheaded this whole thing. Why is she crying now? Holy crap. This is like having God mode enabled. Elaine is absolutely slaughtering them. This isn't counterattack. Sis is conducting a criminal investigation. She's not the victim. She's the mastermind behind it all. You thought you were just an intern, but you are actually breaking the law. 3 minutes later, Serena's live stream was shut down for the following reason: suspected of spreading rumors and defamation. The platform has received a real name report 4 minutes later. The official account of 17 Planning posted another update. Additional report materials have been submitted to the police security camera footage. Late one night, Serena secretly photocopies tender documents in the print room and ships them via courier-way shipping address. Recipient: a competing company in Citywide. Her personally signed delivery receipt stamped in thumbprint. Meanwhile, chaos erupted in the RC conference room. Adrian stared fixedly at his phone screen, a vein throbbing on his forehead. "She's lost her mind," he roared. "Has she gone insane?" She even leaked the competitive materials. Serena had already been shoved to the ground, and everyone backed away several steps as if she were carrying the plague. "It wasn't me. I didn't mean to." She sobbed uncontrollably. "They made me do it. They told me to beat Elaine." "Who?" Adrian asked in a low voice. "Who made you do it?" She tried to explain through her choked sobs, but saw the utter disgust in his eyes. It suddenly dawned on her that she wasn't even worthy enough to be used as a pawn. Adrian held his forehead and muttered under his breath, "This isn't just about revenge. She's trying to dismantle our entire conglomerate piece by piece." He stepped out of the conference room and made a phone call. Take me to Itchy. I need to see Elaine. The other person hesitated. She instructed not to receive anyone from RC. I'm not with RC. Adrian growled. I'm her fiancé. After a moment of silence, on the other end of the line came the reply. She did say that if you claim to be her fiancé, you should never come to see her. Planning officially announced a 3-year long-term partnership with Group D. On the day the official blog post was published, it garnered over 100,000 shares and comments. That's Elaine's prowess for you. She didn't leave the game. She just moved to a bigger table to keep ruling. They didn't crash. They just upgraded their ride. Meanwhile, Itchy announced new partnerships for 3 consecutive days. Signed a brand co-creation agreement with a Vision Media, secured the master planning rights for Z-City's landmark commercial project, launched IP collaboration with emerging design, brand inkblot projects that RC could never land despite all their efforts, are now being handed to me one after another. And Serena was taken into police custody on the 4th morning of all this unfolding. The incident stemmed from leaking confidential bidding information and involvement in improper benefit transfers. She sat in the back of the police car, still clutching the unaired live broadcast script. The live broadcast never happened that day, but surveillance footage captured the entire process of her mailing the documents and receiving the money. She could no longer muster those delicate, pitiable tears. The media summed up her current situation in one sentence: from cherished ideal to corporate whistleblower in just 5 days. Meanwhile, RC Group completely imploded. Major shareholders are dumping their stakes. The board is in disarray. Employees are quietly updating their resumes. And someone at the front desk just handed in their resignation on the spot. The once bustling building was slowly dying. I sat by the floor-to-ceiling window on the top floor of each, warm coffee in hand, documents spread out before me. Marcus stood behind me and murmured, Adrien's here for the 6th time. Haven't seen him. He said he's waiting for you downstairs. I flipped through the documents without looking up. Then let him wait. He said he'll keep waiting. Can he afford to wait? I gazed out the window and said quietly, this building, he once told me to my face, I wasn't qualified to enter. Now he wants to stand at the door waiting for me to give him a chance. Too late. Downstairs, Adrian stood at the entrance of each company, his shirt wrinkled, hair disheveled, and face haggard. For the first time in years, he found himself standing on the rain-soaked ground without his secretary or chauffeur, being looked up at from below. He had been standing there all day from noon until dusk. Some people even secretly filmed him with their phones and posted it online. Former RC Group president waiting outside Itchy to reconcile with female CEO of Cemetery Baytrope confirmed. New case study in simp literature. Did he regret it? Did she even acknowledge him? Nope. She was sipping coffee. She lived more radiantly than anyone while he was stuck in the wind like a stray dog. The comment section is losing it. Meanwhile, I sat in the office pulling up RC's public sentiment, monitoring one by one. This isn't Elaine's counterattack. It's the return of a queen. The entire internet owes her an apology this time. Would she be this formidable if she hadn't already died once back then? No. If I hadn't died once, I'd still be in the break room forcing smiles, drinking with shareholders, cleaning up other people's messes. So, I'm grateful for that can of gasoline. It burned away the person I used to be, forging who I am today. Elaine, who would no longer compromise. At dusk, the security guard approached Adrian and urged him to leave. He said, Miss Elaine has already left for the day. You should go home. Adrian looked up, his eyes desolate, and his throat dry. Did she really leave no room for our past affection? The Global Enterprise Summit is the industry's most prestigious annual conference hosted and funded by the group. It brings together media, investors, and industry peers in full attendance. 17 Planning was invited to deliver a keynote speech with me as the featured speaker. The night the announcement was made, it instantly blew up on Weibo's trending topics. Hashtag Elaine to make first public appearance. Hashtag former RC founder returns with new company. Hashtag she's not seeking revenge. She's rebuilding her throne. Hashtag the comment section has gone completely wild now. This is what a true female protagonist looks like. I was still laughing when that loser was waiting for her after work. I'm going to camp out for the entire live stream of this speech. Can't risk missing a single word. She says, will she bring up old memories? Maybe call someone out by name. Waiting anxiously for updates. 5 minutes until she takes the stage. I'm backstage doing a final proofread of my script. The assistant approached and spoke cautiously. Miss Elaine Adrian. He's at the door. Without looking up, I said, throw him out. He's on his knees. I stopped writing. On your knees? Yes. The assistant swallowed hard. He said he'll do anything for your forgiveness. Just let him apologize in person. Even a single word would suffice. I let out a soft chuckle. So, he's finally ready to admit he was wrong. No. The assistant lowered his head. He said his mistake was trusting the wrong person and failing to deal with Serena in time from start to finish. He never once said my mistake was betraying you. I nodded. Then he's even less worthy of being heard. The stage lights came up, and I stepped onto the platform. The media had their cameras trained on me, spotlights glaring in my face while the live broadcast flooded screens across the internet. My gaze swept across the audience before darting away. In the farthest corner of the VIP section, a familiar figure sat in the most inconspicuous spot. Head bowed, shoulders slumped Adrian. He actually managed to sneak in dressed in a black suit. He stood like a bronze statue gathering dust. The moment he saw me, his eyes lit up for an instant. Then he immediately stood up, walked to the edge of the podium in front of everyone, and with a thud, dropped to his knees. He knelt under all the cameras facing me. A collective gasp swept through the entire venue. The media went wild. The live stream chat went absolutely wild. He's on his knees. Adrian is kneeling. What kind of legendary drama is this? The male lead from that workplace hellscape is begging his ex on his knees. Please, cease. Don't forgive him. The ultimate S. Today's my social suicide. He knelt on both knees, palms pressed against the floor when he lifted his head. His bloodshot eyes burned into me like a wolf stripped of its territory. Elaine. His voice was ragged, raw with desperation. I know I was wrong. I truly understand now. I'll never go back to RC. I don't need anything. Just let me stay as your assistant. I'll even fetch your water. I just want to stay by your side. I was wrong back then. I shouldn't have doubted you. Shouldn't have stood by her side. Shouldn't have left you to face those things alone. Elaine, I call out your name even in my dreams. I'm begging you. Give me another chance. I listened to his every word, watching the hundreds of eyes in the audience, and the rolling cameras on stage. Suddenly smiled. I picked up the receiver and spoke slowly. What is Mr. Adrian saying? I can't quite hear clearly. I'm too far above to hear the words you speak on your knees. The room fell into dead silence. The next moment, thunderous applause erupted like a tsunami crashing through the roof of shame. So damn epic. I stand too. Hi. She's not talking about steps, but about vision. Adrienne's reputation is completely destroyed. Truly the internet's top female lead. She owns it. That made me jump up on the spot, sending shivers of delight through my entire body. Adrian staggered, his face turning deathly pale. He seemed to want to say more, but found his throat hoarse and his limbs ice cold. I stood under the light, watching him with a calm gaze. Your apology is hardly worth mentioning. He scrambled forward on his knees, bowing, so low his head nearly touched my feet. Elaine, I truly regret everything. I've lost her now, and since the incident, I haven't slept a wink night after night. Do you still hate me? I looked down and smiled. Mr. Adrian, you're not even worth my hatred anymore. He collapsed completely onto the ground as if the entire world had trampled him into the mud. After the summit, Adrian completely dropped off the radar. His company couldn't locate him. His legal team couldn't reach him. And even his custom Maybach had been sitting untouched in the underground garage for over 10 days. He was eventually found near an abandoned villa on the outskirts of a city, disheveled and sitting in the weeds. He clutched a trench coat, incessantly muttering unintelligible words. The medical examination revealed severe acute stress disorder with dissociative identity fragmentation. The attending physician said helplessly, he can no longer distinguish between reality and hallucinations. Meanwhile, I'm on a flight to New York. Itchy Planning is about to ring the opening bell on NASDAQ with investments from both D Group and Marcus Group. making it the fastest growing unicorn this quarter. On stage that day, I wore a sharply tailored white suit, my long hair tied back in a low bun with pearl earrings shimmering softly on my earlobes. The countdown reached 3 seconds, and the bell rang out. Dong dong dong. At the celebration dinner, Marcus raised his glass with a smile and said, "Congratulations, Miss Elaine. Today you officially become the youngest female founder of the new generation." "I haven't thanked you yet," I said, looking up. He chuckled. "If thanks are due, you should thank yourself." I raised my glass and gently clinked it against us. A week later, I brought my mother home from the hospital. Her eyes welled up as she looked at the newly renovated courtyard. She smiled through tears and said, "You have everything now. All that's missing is someone to marry." I stayed silent, just lowering my head to gently stroke the silver ring on my finger. I bought that with my own savings when I was 16. My very first piece of jewelry. That was the year I first met Adrian. He told me, "That ring looks lovely on you. I bet you'll wear one just like it when you get married someday." I stared at it for a moment, then slowly slipped it off and tossed it into the little fountain behind me. Whether Elaine gets married or not, that's nobody's decision but her own. Except for herself, the ring sank into the water, rippling outwards like a farewell that would never return.